I guess for a lot of people, you live in big metros, you don't consider that whatever. But growing up in Chicago, we've got like St. Charles and Geneva and Naperville, which are like an hour outside the city, and they are the Chicago suburbs. There are people who live there who drive an hour every day to the city. So that was always normal for me. So when we were looking at this area, like, well, we
I'm understanding. You said, Pat, you're negotiating with terrorists that kill their own people. There's no winning. The only thing that bothers me is that I think the president was told it was going to be quick and this, and it's anything but.
Well, there's two different messages. The message from Adelson, and help me out here, because I know you've read about this, Adam, is what the hell did you do? I didn't sign up for this. That's really her headline.
Yes.
Fox is saying, what the hell are we doing? I don't think this is a good deal. That's what Fox is saying.
So what do you want me to address right now? Marco Rubio and Vance? In general or specifically all your
Specifically, you can go anywhere because it's Iran
Yeah,
topic.
well look, this is a conversation that it's not going to stop. Let me just start with the obvious. There's never going to be another Trump. Everyone wants to find out who's going to be, who's taking the mantle from Trump. Trump is one of one. I think you understand that. You can agree with that. You sort of coined that phrase. But who's going to be the successor? So let me just give you some numbers, some stats, and Tom Bizduck stuff. How old will Rubio be when he becomes president? He'll be 57 years old. How old would J.D. Vance be? Be 44. I'm 45 years old, 46. I don't want a president younger than me. I'm sorry, not yet.
I want one.
Okay, but more than that, more than their age difference, talking about having experience and being seasoned, do you know how long J.D. Vance has had political power? 3 years. 3 years. He was a senator for 2 years and he's been the vice president for a year and a half. 3 years. How long has Marco Rubio been in politics? 28 years. So to me, it's a completely different resume of who's ready for the job. To me, Vance, respectfully, gifted politician. Still figuring things out, still figuring himself out. That's what this comes down to. In my opinion,
and this is what you get.
Take the wheel of a new 2026 Sportage Hybrid and set out on your next adventure from Charlie's Kia.
While resigning.
I stand for everything I wasn't so sure about, i.e. Trump, where he was at with him. I think he has complete clarity. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. And it just shows. When he gets up there speaking, it just, he knows all the info. He knows all the workaround. He knows all the gotcha questions. To me, he's probably, you know, they said about Hillary Clinton that she was the most experienced candidate we've ever seen. That's Marco Rubio, but with the back.
But he better. But Adam, if it comes down to Rubio and J.D. Vance, Pat, debating on that stage, and this war isn't cleaned up by then, J.D. Vance, who can debate his butt off, is going to have a lot of ammunition going against the guy that's been in for 28 years. Which, and I love that he said this. I want to see it. By the way, I want to see it. And if they think sending J.D. is like, okay, go, I'm going to blame everything on you. He's busting his butt, and that's going to give him ammunition to be like, hey, I tried. I was in those rooms, and what they say? Well, President Trump said he's less enthusiastic about this war. That's what's going to come down to.
I actually think it's going to be a good matchup. I like it. Actually, it's going to be a good matchup, and I look forward to the matchup to see how the market's going to react to it. I think it's going to be great for TV. And I hope they don't do we are friends, and I hope they actually do it because they got to play. They got to go through.
What do you think their relationship is like at this point? You think they're on the same team? You think they're working together?
They're not philosophically on the same page. They're not. But for the first time ever, I saw Rubio with a look that I don't think he agrees with what's going on with him. And I didn't think he wanted to smile. I think he intentionally didn't want to smile. You ever go into a place where where guys will come and they're like, well, hey, what's up? And you're like, nah, man. Pat Riley, we're not smiling and going and having dinner with Michael. Pat Riley had a rule. In Michael Jordan's retirement speech that he gave, do you know what he said?
No.
He says, I'll never forget, I called Oakley one time. He said, Oak, let's have dinner. Oakley used to be Jordan's teammate before at Chicago. I don't even know if you knew about this.
He got traded for Bill Cartwright.
So he had Oakley. Oakley was a protector. And he says, hey, let's go have dinner together. It's like, no, I can't, man. What do you mean you can't? Coach won't let. What do you mean coach won't let? Riley was like, you don't have dinner with the enemy. And that drove Michael insane, but he respected the hell out of it. I think a little bit of where Rubio is right now, he's trying to stay stoic and say this, look, I'm just doing my job, but when I become, if I get the opportunity, we would handle this slightly in a different way than what's going on today. I think he would be, I think Trump is more of a negotiator. I think Rubio is more of a true believer in this issue. He's not negotiating. He just says, you guys are not good for the world, and I think here's what needs to happen. And JD is more, he's more business, America, non-interventionist. Eventually, everybody at a young age, you're a non-interventionist until you get punched in the face and you realize there's some people out there that you gotta intervene every once in a while. Trust me, everybody is, world peace, Mother Teresa type of stuff, and then, there's some nasty people that live in the world. All right, let's talk about Juneteenth, okay? So here's a question I got. So they choose to do Juneteenth probably at the worst time ever. And again, who would come up with this idea of Juneteenth and approve it? Guy named President Biden. Now watch this. Watch this. Juneteenth is the 19th. On the weekend of Juneteenth, which is celebrating what? It's celebrated annually on the 19th to commemorate the end of slavery in the United States. By the way, can you go type in when is Father's Day? Okay, when is Father's Day? Just type in Father's Day. Just type in Father's Day. What day does Father's Day fall on? Yeah, Father's Day. Now watch this. June 21st. Okay, so imagine how, they say racism. I mean, some could really speculate that Biden was indirectly being racist towards blacks, which I don't appreciate. Because you do Juneteenth with Father's Day, and what is the highest fatherless community in America? Which community do we have? What is the fatherless percentage that we have?
Unfortunately, it's black.
Unfortunately, it's the black community. So why would you do such a racist thing? I don't use the word racist quite often, but in a context like this, you could have done it in July. You could have done it in Christmas. You could have done it in January or maybe November. Safe. You can do some stuff in the first week of November. I kind of mess around there. But you decide to do it on Father's Day? What an insult, right? And look at this. In the United States, the African-American children have the highest rates of single. Can you zoom in a little bit? My eyes are all jacked up. Yeah, there you go. Highest rates of living in single-parent or father-absent households, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. They count approximately 50 to 60% of black children live in single-parent families, compared to 30% Hispanic and 20% white. Why would you put Juneteenth on the same weekend as Father's Day? Then, to make matters even worse, the president, Barack Obama, first African-American president, some say was Clinton, but a lot of people say it was Obama. He's out there, and while they're celebrating his museum, do you know what article comes out? This is what the article comes out. From Post Millennial, saying, hey, you spent $850 million on this property that you built, and sometimes there's a reputation of not paying bills or not paying credit cards, and this guy says, unpaid black contractors rage against Barack Obama's presidential center. What sense is it celebrating Juneteenth if our black contractors are not getting their money? Go ahead, play this clip.
President of the African American Contract Association. I've been in business since 1989. I've never seen this happen since I've been in business. Even when I worked with Chicago Urban League, so many of our black contractors are complaining about they have not got their money. But the other side of it, a lot of the black community and the newspapers do not know that these people have not been paid. Some of the people have put their mortgages up. They're going to lose their bonding, their rate in their bonding company. They're going to lose their relationship with their supplier, as well as their banker may want to bring in their note. So they're afraid to talk about these things, but they tell me in privacy that these things are taking place with them. And they're scared to death about talking about it. Some of them will hang up the phone on you and just say, I don't want to talk about that.
What a terrible timing, Penny. You put Juneteenth on Father's Day, and you're not paying the bills of black contractors after the first black president's museum is officially built. And they're like, pay up. There's no money. And then on top of that, can you tell everybody what happened on Juneteenth weekend in Chicago?
So, it started off with a bang, no pun intended. 7 people are dead in Chicago. 38 more were shot. Listen to this number. 24 separate shooting incidents in one weekend. Okay? By the way, how is that not, besides his library, the biggest story in America? I'm not talking about a war zone, guys. I'm not talking about Ukraine and Russia. This isn't Fallujah, where they take over Kharg Island. This is Chicago, okay? It started on Friday, on Juneteenth. SUV pulled up, 2 shooters opened fire, 12 people were shot, 8 men, 4 women. The victims range from ages 17 to 47. Another guy was shot in his chest, but he refused medical treatment. The rest of the weekend wasn't better. A 50-year-old man was shot in the chest on Friday. An 18-year-old was shot and killed Saturday evening. A 20-year-old man was shot in the chest on Sunday. The other victims ranged up to 50 as shootings broke out across multiple neighborhoods. President Trump responded by saying he could make Chicago one of the safest cities in America if Governor J.B. Pritzker, who's been dead silent, obviously, would work with him. Meanwhile, the conversation immediately turned into politics instead of asking why this keeps happening. And then people sit there, Johnson, the mayor, and him, oh, it's because of racism and this. The Chicago Bears packed up their stuff and they're like, yo, we're out. We are out. So it's just every weekend, Pat. Chicago has this happening every single weekend, and nobody talks about it. But Trump is offering help. They don't want it because they love the title of Chirac. They're proud that people are getting freaking murdered in the streets every single week. Name another place. By the way, this war that we're in, 7 people didn't die this weekend in any other conflict that we're dealing with or we're seeing. It's happening in Chicago, and nobody's talking about it. Adam.
So, I mean, this is a failure of leadership of what's going on in Chicago specifically. You know,
I respect Graham Plattner's service, but he doesn't respect ours.
Plattner falsely accused a military hero of war crimes.
He said a Purple Heart recipient didn't deserve to live after being shot.
And Plattner blames his Nazi tattoo on military culture?
Graham Plattner's a fraud.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Key Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Newcastle. Right now you can lease a new 2026 Jeep Wrangler Sport S for just
dead last of economic viability. So regarding Obama, I actually think Obama's a good guy. I think he's a good dad on paper. But at the end of the day, I think his ideology is very Marxist in nature. You know, not to get all biblical, but you say, you will know them by their fruits. Where's that from? You will know them by their fruits.
It's in the Bible.
It's in the Bible. I don't know. BLM, they were encouraged. What was the foundation basically? Trying to dissolve the nuclear family. You know, 1/3 of Americans, children are born to single mothers. 2/3 in the African American community. That's the lowest of the low. I wish Obama would focus on actually improving black people's lives, starting in Chicago, starting in Illinois, and basically do what you've done to this country, but in the opposite order, and improve the city where you're from. This whole story basically started that he was basically opening his library in Chicago. That was a whole situation, but you're going to basically stick black workers with the bill while you're out there sort of masquerading as a real man and as a real leader. And then the coup de grace is when Michelle Obama was asked, what do you want to focus on moving forward? She goes, me.
Yeah, Tom.
What kind of man stands for that?
Look at this. I mean, this is where the governor could take some leadership. So let's talk about JB. Let's talk about Lincoln College that's been closed for 4 years. And in his recent budget, ready for this, Pat? He's got $500,000 in grant going to Lincoln College. It's been closed for 4 years. Who is receiving that money? How about turn it into a grant to the Obama Library that does exist and help get some of these guys paid? How about J.B. Pritzker take a leadership role in the community and push and say, wait a minute, you are a building, forget that it's Obama. This building was built on some land and received significant benefits from the city and the taxpayers of the city. Now you're telling me you're finished after you receive benefit that some of those taxpayers, black people operating businesses, aren't paid? Time out. You need to get these people paid, and you need to get it paid now, and then the state could intervene and help some of them to get paid. Let me tell you something about business. With this gentleman, it was very articulate what this gentleman said. He said he was the president of the African American Contractors Association. When he said bonds, you know what a bond is? A bond is like a credit line. Hey, I need to get about 36 tons of concrete from Vinny. Vinny says, well, can you pay for it? I can have a little bit up front, but I have a bond because Patrick gave me the contract from Chicago and he's going to pay me. Oh, okay, great. But I've got a license. I'm a great contract guy. I do giant buildings, do this all day long. Fantastic. All of that helps them. he even said some of these guys were at risk of losing their bond. If they lose their bond, they can't do business with other projects they may be working on because they took the opportunity on the Obama Library.
Man, these are black workers in
own
Chicago.
business.
Yeah.
I'm not being shrill here.
Imagine if
This
you're
is
a
a
black
travesty.
general contractor that you can't even rely on the former first black president to pay his bills. Who the hell is going to pay the bill?
$850 million.
You know what they
Pritzker
may
gives
do?
money to a non-existent college that's been closed for 4
By the way,
years.
this is such a travesty that they may moving forward only do business with Jews because they're like,
Listen, guys, we're open for business.
Yeah.
But do you know how many black people in Chicago? We've seen all these videos are so disgusted and upset of them prioritizing the illegal immigrant community that has come to Chicago and has taken basically all the money. It's like, hold on, so you're gonna basically let people in this country that have just got here, newcomers, they're gonna get the benefits that we want? Have you seen this? And then it was like so like poignantly exposed at the opening of the library. Did you see what Valerie Jarrett said about the land that we are on?
Yes.
Like
Borrowed land.
listen, borrowed land. If you're a black person in Chicago, tell me how you react to something like this. Wow. Can we have that audio?
To recognize the original inhabitants of the land upon which we are gathered today. We honor the Anishinaabe, the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations.
So you can give it back? Give it, you
We'd also
built on
like to
it.
take
Give
a
it back.
Wyatt, get off the stage.
This is
I
what's going
don't
on
even
here.
want to give it more time. I'm moving on. Look, go pay your bills, guys. Like, seriously. This
is why they're broke.
All right, let's go.
Anybody got a pack of Salem's?
Next story I want to get to. Here's the next story I want to get to. Here's a conversation that we had earlier that I want to get to, and I want to see what you guys think about this. Okay, folks, should you date your best friend's ex? Okay, should you date your best friend's ex? I walk in this morning, Anthony lands this on me, and he says, you know, the VT Gen Z, which they're doing such a great job with VT Gen Z on Instagram and TikTok. He says, do you think a man should date his best friend's ex? By the time I gave the answer, you have to see his reaction at the end. He seemed very disappointed that I had to clarify, and I said, by the way, are you dating your best friend's ex? He said, no. I said, then why you look like you're hurt by this answer? So, Vinny, do you think you should date your best friend's ex?
No, and I would never do it. I don't want anything to do with like love, them, conversation, history. Like if I'm your best friend, Pat, I'm ride or die, and I don't care if she throws herself at me. I'm staying away from that because nothing good is gonna come out from that. Nothing. I mean, yeah, you know her. If he's your best friend, then you've been around her, you know her. But that's your home. That's your brother. I personally, no. It's a no for me.
What if I didn't know it was my best friend's ex and I really wasn't
Bill.
bringing up the fact that I was dating?
How many
Bill.
of his best friend's ex you think he's hooked
Oh,
up with?
Bill?
Yeah.
Slick Willie?
Wait a minute, you mean unintentionally?
But Tom, honestly, though, like, give a story. Like, was there a moment? Was there a big falling out with friends? Like, is there anything? Where do you stand with this?
I remember being in high school, and we had a group of friends cross country. I wasn't on the team. I was kind of an alternate, and I ran with them. And what was very interesting is there was a guy on the team, and I knew his girlfriend. I knew them all very, very well. And they broke up, and I kept talking to her, and I was just always friends with her. But in my mind, even back then, I always, the rule was I wasn't going to go out with her. You know, I didn't know if she'd say yes, but at that time, Pat, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. We were all friends, and I even, there was something back in my head even back then that says, man, this would just create a lot of issues. Just create a lot of drama. So it never really went further in my brain than that. Then, nah, it's not a good idea.
There's an equation to this that I basically come up with. So you feel free to use it out there if you're out there in the dating game. Should you date your best friend's ex?
Yes.
If this is your best friend, the first level is this is a hard no. No exceptions whatsoever. Your best friend, hard no. If it's a friend, second category, it is a soft no with exceptions. Hey, look, man, I know that you dated, it's been a few years. There's a conversation, there's exceptions that can be made. If it's an acquaintance, it's the third level. The answer is yes, respectfully. So the last thing you want to do is go into a relationship with drama, with people talking trash, with people saying, can you believe this? Can you believe this? Because that's a very bad way to start. But at the end of the day, your best friend, like your dog, literally and metaphorically, that guy's going to be there with you forever.
Let me ask you a
I've
question.
never dated anything close to my best friend.
Do you think your best friend will eventually find out?
Yes, for sure.
They find out
No, let's just say you hook up on a weekend. You think your friend will ever find out?
I've seen this happen. They always find out. It's always awkward. It's never good. And you know how they say bros before?
Yes.
Ladies, your best friend is your best friend for a reason.
And hear this out. Let's say we're best friends. You break up, and then now I'm with her. You know what that means to me? That even when we were together,
Susan Collins co-sponsored the bill to protect military spouses' survivor benefits. Your perfect domain is out there. Go to Wix and make it yours. Claim your space online.
Date your best friend's ex. You think they'll never find out. 100% they will find out, even if it was one time. You know why? Because how often do relationships work out?
Well, 1% of the time. That's why they call it the one.
Yeah. So, by the way, how many times do you think there's going to be fights?
Based on credible data, all the time.
All the time. So if there's a falling out, who do you think he or she is going to protect and defend?
She tells 5 of her friends, and that's how your friend found out.
And if he's dumb enough to date his best friends or one of his friends' ex, he's dumb enough to brag about it to others when he's had 1 or 2 drinks. And when he brags about it, what ends up happening? It comes back. And then what happens? You're done. Okay? So there's about 8 billion people in the world. Okay? Let's eliminate, half of them, too old, too young. Yeah. Let's take the
There's a lot of ugly people out there.
A lot
like
of
the
ugly people out there.
They're undateable.
But for everybody, there's somebody. But the basic rule, by the way, you're going to see, I'm going to get some next, and it's going to say, you don't understand. You guys have no idea. I married my best friend's ex, and we've been together for 22 years.
Those are the exceptions, not the rule.
You're going to get those rules, and we fell in love. And matter of fact, we even go on double dates with this. I hear these stories, right? I hear saying, you don't even know that. Okay, great. Well, The Rock's, ex-wife married his trainer, and they're good. And what about this other person, and that other person, this other? It is what it is. I want to show you something, and I want to get your thoughts, which a little bit annoyed me. Can you guys go on Giselle's Instagram account? Go on Giselle's Instagram account. I don't know if you saw this or not.
I haven't seen it.
Let me just go to it. I'm going to go to a couple stories. If you go to Giselle's Instagram account, and I think her handle is literally just Giselle, not with a J. That's a G. That's a very bad word.
Giselle.
About to go to. Okay, if you go to her account, go to the last one. That's a picture of her and the jiu-jitsu guy. And let's read this, okay? Let's read this. And we'll read the English version. Can you zoom in, please, for my eyes? Happy Father's Day. Thank you for leading. And this is Chakwa, whatever the guy's name is, good-looking guy. Thank you for leading by example and for the values you embody. Love, humility, integrity, discipline, kindness, consistency. You are an incredible role model. We are so grateful for you. And we love you so much. And Dad, thank you for your unconditional love, wisdom, and support through every single stage of my life. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Where is the guy with the 7 Super Bowls? Where is the guy with, by the way, let's go past, I looked at this because somebody sent me and said you should react to this. No, stay on it, don't leave. You should react to this on the podcast and go through the pictures. I'm like, why would I look at Giselle's pictures? So if we go to the pictures, keep going. I mean, look, she's got, how many kids does she have? Let me just search.
Is that his kid?
Before we go,
yes.
How many kids do Giselle and Brady have? Okay, now watch. Giselle and Brady together have 2 kids. Okay,
he had another kid with Bridget Moynihan.
Sure. So you see all these pictures, right? Okay, and it's going through it. Well, where is the father of your 2 kids? Where is he? You don't recognize him? Really? You don't recognize the father of the 2 kids on Father's Day? Honestly, it's a little bit of a, some people may say, well, mind your own business. Well, then don't post this damn thing. You get 50 million views on it, and if you don't want the conversation, mind your own business.
You want the smoke, get it.
But to me, you know what I like about what Tom Brady said? I just want to give a quick shout out to Tom. Remember when Tom did the roast? And when they did the roast on how much they came after his ex-wife, and the stuff they said about Giselle, and when he did an interview post roast, and they asked him, they said, what did you think about it? He He says, you know what? When I spoke to my kids, I understood the pain they have, and I would have done it very differently. Because they were making fun of their mother, and that's not okay, and I didn't like that. You think for an alpha, you know, in a room of football players, who is the alpha amongst alphas?
Tom Brady.
This guy's an alpha. How many rings you got? 2.
7.
I got 7, guy.
What?
Okay, I could have 12. I could have 9 if that Manning wouldn't have a second
Eli.
son, and I would have 9 championships, right?
Yep, you're welcome.
But what's the point? So when you see something like this, I've seen J-Lo and Mark Anthony. You know, when they go together and they take the pictures on fathers, and the love is given to all the fathers, right? I don't know how many, baby daddies she's got, but you see people that give the credit. I just didn't like this. It kind of, made me feel a little bit, like it was a dig. How do you guys process this? Do you have a problem with the fact that, she doesn't give a shout out to Tom? Tom, how do you see this yourself?
If you're a celebrity in the public square, you've divorced but you have kids, you have one obligation: to ensure that the mental mindset of those kids is positive. That's your. I don't care about what you feel about your ex-husband. The mental mindset of those kids is not to be split, but it's so that they know, hey, our relationship didn't work out, but I'm going to support your mom every minute she's with you. And she's going to support me every minute you're with me. We're not going to play games on holidays. We're not going to play games going back and forth. And this, I don't like this at all. Because your job is to protect the mental mindset of those kids so that they don't feel manipulated, they don't feel torn, they don't feel in the middle, they don't feel guilty, they don't feel like they're the cause.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that if they're from the kid's standpoint. Great feedback.
And that's a bit. I mean, that's if you think about it. Like, and if you're reading that as Tom Brady, thank you for your leading by example and the values you embody. Like, not even like, how about just a separate post, just saying, hey, Tom Brady, you're the GOAT, and I appreciate you.
But you know what this means? If I'm Tom, this post 100% was only for Tom.
Up the way look how she wrote it.
100% of this post was for Tom Brady. And look, I like Tom. I'm not even getting involved in this because I don't like to talk about stuff like this. But to me, when I saw this, I thought about Tom, and I interpreted as this guy, doing what he does. You see Tom also being very involved with the kids, and it's very important to him because Tom had a phenomenal father. When you have a very good father, you also want to be a great father yourself. Of course, he was very active, running around trying to win, and it's a tough thing to do when you're on the road all the time. But you've seen the video where Tom Brady gets emotional when they ask him, they say, who's your hero? We've all seen the video on how he breaks down saying, who's my hero? And then he kind of thinks and thinks and thinks. Guys, if we have that video,
great clip.
And then he says, my dad's my hero. And you know who asked him the question? A kid asked him the question.
Yeah.
A kid asked him the question and he got emotional about it. So, yeah, I don't know. I saw this. Of course, it's not a current event type of a thing, but guys, if you were able to pull up that clip right there, watch this. This is it. Good work, guys. Watch this.
Who's my hero? It's a great question. Well, I think my dad is my hero because he's someone that I look up to every day. And
tears up, right?
What a question.
My dad. I'd say my dad represents his feelings.
Isn't that great?
What a moment.
You can pause it right there, guys. Isn't that great when you see this? So, anyways, saw that story, Adam.
Look, there might not be a better case example for understanding female nature than Tom Brady. Because when you look at the Tom Brady situation, he's the best of the best of the best in not one category, in not two categories, in all the categories. Damn near billionaire, good looking, stud, could be a male model, 6'5", Hall of Fame quarterback, arguably the greatest football player, arguably the greatest athlete of all time, Super Bowl champion, everything, resume, and still, it wasn't good enough for his woman. Are you kidding me? And the reason why, and this is something that every man has to sort of grapple with, quite candidly, it's something that I'm dealing with right now. When you're a man on a mission, and you have a purpose, and you have meaning in your life, you can't let anybody, your family, your woman, your friends, get in the way of that. And if they're not on board with what you're trying to accomplish, there's always going to be friction. So here's some evidence here where he wanted to play one more season, I believe, and she wanted him to retire, and he said, listen, I got one more run at me.
Naomi's enjoying the sweet sound of earning and saving money on Vinted. She sold what she doesn't wear with 0 fees and bought these pre-loved.
What happened in that year? He won a Super Bowl. The rest is history. She went out and started dating the jiu-jitsu instructor. Now she has a new life with a new family. It just shows you, no matter how good you are, no matter how great you are, how rich you are, how cool you are, it still might not be good enough to keep your woman. So you have to have that balance. Because the last part of the conversation is there's some people who are the black pill community. You familiar with the black pill community?
I don't really want to get into that right now. We got it. So I think you made a very good point on what's going on here. I like what you said. I like the perspective on what happens. But, you know, the only thing that I would say here that's slightly different, Adam, is the following. She was a killer herself. So to the argument of the other side, like, sometimes when you marry somebody that's a super killer famous, their argument's going to be, dude, I was somebody before I started dating you.
I hear you.
I was more popular and famous than you were when we started dating. I was the #1 supermodel in the world. That is the only tricky part.
Sure.
The only tricky part is when you marry with that much attention, and that's your wife, it's a risk. It's a risk. This is why I tell you it's not a good idea to date Angel Reese. I know you talk about it all the time, and Caitlin, you know, those guys. I'd say it's not a good idea for you. Valiant. It's not, and I know you're into it. I'm just saying, I don't think it's a good idea. I know we talk about it heavily.
The one caveat I'll give you,
You can dive into
heavily.
I know you want to move on, but the one caveat is, this is the exception. For every Giselle dating a Tom Brady, there's a million beautiful women dating a rich guy, and the rich guy just doesn't know what's going on. In fact, the top 50 richest women in the world.
Like, I want to move on. I just said I want to move on, and you're like, I just want to say something quick. You do this like
you're gonna give me a piece of meat, and then you're not gonna finish
10 seconds. Go 10 seconds.
Finish the meal.
I don't want you to. I just told you I want to move on.
We want dessert, Adam.
Guy. Okay, so let me get to the next story.
Did you get me fired up over here?
I understand, but I told you I want to go to the next stories because I got time here, and you and your stuff that you want to get into. All right, so let me get into this. So Kevin O'Leary says Steve Jobs gave him the best career advice. The only 3 things you have to get done every day. Here's Kevin O'Leary. Go for it.
Jobs, I told the story countless times. He was not a nice guy, but in the 90s, I made all of his software for the Mac in schools, 110,000 buildings. He was an absolute asshole, but he taught me some very important things, and he was wildly successful. He said that each day, including you, each day, there will be 3 things you have to get done. Just 3. And that's called signal. And there's going to be a plethora of things that are going to stop you from doing that, and that's called the noise. And so the only thing you have to get good at in your life to be an entrepreneur is to distinguish what's signal and what's noise. And then you do not let noise get in the way of getting the 3 things done. They get done first.
Tom, thoughts?
So I think he's absolutely correct. And there's one of the things that you said for this last year. We were talking about speed, product, and signal, which means we don't want things to slow us down. The product, the main thing is the main thing. And then signal. We don't want the noise. We want signal. And I think that Steve Jobs gave great advice to Kevin O'Leary. And Kevin O'Leary is pointing out, said, listen, he had, in his experience, he said that Steve was a bit of an ass to work with. Get in line, Kevin O'Leary. A lot of people said that about Steve Jobs because he was maniacal. He was focused. And he's right. What you need to put yourself in a mindset that says, what are the 3 signal issues I got to get done today? And I got to push everything else off that plate. That is great, pure, simple advice.
Yeah, I love it. Adam, thoughts?
Don't marry the wrong woman.
No black pill. Stick to this.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Okay, I like
if you had to get 3 things done,
you said 10 seconds. I did 3 seconds. We're moving on.
You don't have 10 seconds here.
Or get 3 things done for the guy that dated your ex.
You always come back after I go to everybody and you still want to say something. So staying on this here with signal, it's one of the hardest things for you to do. It is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. You know why? Elon Musk said something the other day. They asked him the question, what is the worst invention? And he said scrolling is the worst invention, that it does so much damage to you. You know, when you kind of watch videos after videos after videos, doom scrolling. It's one of the worst inventions. And why is it one of the worst inventions? It steals away signal from you. So if I got a book recommendation to make to all the CEOs out there, I got one book recommendation I will give to you. I couldn't put it down, Tom. I'm glad you were going through it. I think, have you wrapped it up or not yet? Are you done with it?
Almost. I keep going back to little
It's
things.
insane. So type in the word CEO Excellence. If you're a business owner and you want to go read a book, CEO Excellence is a phenomenal book written by 3 McKinsey senior partners. The only thing I will tell you is there's going to be some climate change stuff in there, some of the, DEI bullshit that you're going to have to go through. But if you can set that aside, the content is actually phenomenal and is directed specifically to CEOs, and a ton of stories in there of how Jamie Dimon stayed Signal with a bunch of noise that he had around him, because it's going to be constant. You're never, ever. Guy sends me a Minect yesterday. He's got this invention, and I send him your way. I don't know if he's Minected you yet or not. He's got this invention that he's doing. He says, Pat, what do you think I should do? Should I sell the idea? Should I keep it? Should I run it? Should I do this? I said, listen, in life, you have to figure out who you want to be. And one of the challenges about who you want to be is everybody wants to be a number one. But let me tell you what happens when you're number one. 100% of all the issues that happen is your fault. Are you okay with that? She said, what do you mean? Are you okay if 100% of everything that happens in a company is your fault? Behind closed doors, you can put the onus and responsibility on others. But publicly, guess what it is? It's all your fault. So I don't want that. Then sell the idea. Or go be a number 2 or number 3. But if you don't want all the challenges to be on you, you have a few good days a year when you're number 1. You literally have only a few good days a year. You have a lot of shitty years. shitty days a year. I'm being serious.
I see it.
You have a few good days a year. You have a lot of bad days, and you still have to find a way to come home, be a husband, be a father, be present, take care of your health while shit's hitting the fan, and then come back to work the next day with a great attitude and do your best to lead everybody, knowing there's probably going to be a lot of fires you got to put on, and you got to find a way to stay focused on the signal. So if you stay focused on the signal, long-term, big things will happen to you. And the last story I want to do, and I don't want to go into the story for too long, I just want to give it a little bit of time, but I think, Tom, story comes out with Netflix, okay? A Netflix story on what's going on with podcasting. So Netflix decides to get into the podcasting game. They do, and they bought a bunch of big podcasts when they went into it. And Netflix's video podcast engagement numbers are low per Insider. Made a major push into video podcasts in 2025. Some of the big deals they did, Bill Simmons and the Ringer Network, Pardon My Takes, Spittin' Chiclet, the Ryan Russillo Show, iHeartMedia program, and I even think they got Barstool paying them 8 figures per year. Early results appear disappointing. According to Puck's Matthew Baloney, internal sentiment at Netflix suggests the investment has yet to generate strong engagement. Baloney reported that multiple company sources describe podcast viewership as low. Perhaps most notably to date, no podcast has charted on the Nielsen Weekly Top 10. This is significant because Nielsen programming frequently dominates Nielsen's rankings in these categories. Podcast struggles come as engagement growth slows. The concerns arrive alongside broader questions. Total viewing hours rose only 2% during the second half of 2025. Global subscribership increased 10% according to Mofteson estimates. That implies daily engagement per subscriber declined by approximately 8%. Tom, why is this so important, and can they turn it around?
I think they can turn it around, but it's going to be difficult. And I believe that they really whiffed on one thing, and that thing is focus. You got to know what you make, and you got to know what you do and what you do well. And Netflix is not in the podcast game. Netflix funds series. They fund damn good series. They fund movies. They buy rights to certain movies, Pat, that turn out to be beautiful. And what's
Senator Susan Collins delivers from Maine, bringing $190 million for rural hospitals and health centers. And Senator Collins co-sponsored the Halt Fentanyl Act, cracking down on drug traffickers, keeping Mainers safe. Susan Collins also voted for national voter ID, protecting our elections from fraud. Senator Susan Collins, delivering on rural health care, delivering tougher
show the world that America's second city is not just collapsing into chaos and squalor as it is right now under these people in charge. And so it's a really important job to do something to clean up LA. And so I would expect something in that area would be the thing he would want to focus on. As I've said, my daughter, of course, I would be honored to have him work alongside me in any capacity.
He says that he has a tape of some illegal activity. Do you have any idea what that is?
No, but I think we're all looking forward to that. And I don't suppose there's a much shortage of opportunities for that kind of thing. But I think that's going to be, stay tuned, I think, is Spencer's message, and we all are.
Okay. I'm very glad that you're running for governor of California. I guess if you were back in the United Kingdom, you could be running for prime minister. It's anybody's race at this point. You worked, obviously, with David Cameron, and you worked with the Tory party, and you must have a pretty bitter take on the state of play for the United Kingdom right now. What's happening on that once great island?
It's really sad to see. And I've got to be honest, it's very important everyone understands that the rot in the UK has not just set in the last couple of years when you've had a Labour government. I think it's important to note that a lot of the things that have gone wrong in the UK, discussing with Chip, happened under the previous long years of Conservative government. When I left there in 2012, moved to America, very happy to be here, and just to remind everyone, I've not just become a US citizen, I have renounced my UK citizenship, as I often put it. I'm fighting, amongst other things, to make sure that this state that I love does not turn into the country I left, for so many of the reasons that you were discussing with Chip and many more. I think there's something, it seems to be the case that the quality of the politicians that are being thrown up, and I think that's probably the right term, by the political system in England, is just not there. And this guy Keir Starmer, who's just resigned, he had a huge parliamentary majority, and yet he was able to
also
be pushed out.
The financial world
not
as
being
they're
up to
doing
the job.
right now today.
They've got a massive problem with
try to curb
open borders immigration that they seem incapable of stopping. A massive bloated state.
They will curb
economy,
stop you. So you do need
stagnant.
some guardrails.
I mean, somebody sent me a report
and I'm going to use
not that
this
long ago,
analogy until
looking
I
at the
people
bloat
wearing
of
it on
bureaucracy in the
This
UK
is just
to
like
make it
food.
impossible
So
to build
regulation
anything
is like
to get
food. If
affordable,
you have too
reliable
little,
energy.
you
Their
starve to
energy
death. If you have
costs
too much,
higher than
you'll
here.
obesify yourself
California
to death.
electricity.
You have to
It's just
be
a nightmare of
you need to
bloat
eat,
and
but you
bureaucracy.
need to look at your body fat and be like,
cost.
am I lean or not?
And actually, someone sent me
if
this
you're
report
fucking
saying,
fat, you need to be
remind
like, I'm
you of
fat.
it. It's
Americans
like California.
fucking
It really
fat.
is.
Morbidly
The
obese.
sad thing
Our
to say
government is
is a lot of that
crazy.
actually happened.
This
in
is
those later
this is
years
legitimately
of
an 850
conservative
pound man
government,
to whom
including
people keep
during and after the lockdowns,
and that person is like, I don't have enough calories.
lockdowns, which
Bitch,
were
you
even
must
more
be kidding.
extreme
So
in the UK.
this is
than
crazy.
we have to
Once
put up
people
with
understand
here in
the American
California,
government is like an
something
850
really wrong
pound person
on there.
who is
I mean, look, you've got people
adhering
fighting against
to
it.
the fabric
Nigel
of their
Farage
fucking couch.
did very well.
They
I
will
think that's
understand
one of the main
whenever that person
reasons
goes, I need more food,
this
you
move
just
here,
immediately say fuck it.
that you're
Literally
sitting
fuck off right
prime
now.
minister to resign,
Shut up,
even though they
get
have
up,
a
starve
massive,
for at least a year.
parliamentary
Then,
majority.
as you
The
start
reason
trimming
is
back,
the
so you can
Labour
actually
members
stand
of
up,
Parliament
then we can
are
talk.
terrified
God
by
damn,
Nigel
right now,
Farage,
hell.
his Reform Party, and losing
All right,
their seats.
let's go through some
I
more kind
just
of
want a
changes
final
to
word on,
beat this deadline.
because so few people are talking about it,
I think that
and so few people
everybody
talking
you
about
have a point because the math works
the
to your point of view.
near beheading that happened in Northern Ireland. What was the last beheading that happened in the United Kingdom? William Wallace? I don't know. Henry Novak, and then on top of that, the Great Gang Inquiry, and the estimated 250,000 young British girls raped by Muslim grooming gangs. So here, a horrible state. Man, this is bad. So okay, here's what's actually going on. What is your take on this? What must be done?
It's just weakness. It
Everybody's
is
just
cowardice in the face of
the U.S. government has done a very immoral thing, and they have
political
put students in a situation
that
where
we
they
can't
get themselves in an insane amount of
that
debt.
we know
These
are
people cannot
abhorrent.
declare bankruptcy. You cannot
Because we don't want to
discharge student loan
offend
debt.
people,
And
because
then
we don't
the
want to be
government has
considered
guaranteed those loans.
or even
So
called
now taxpayers are on
racist
the
or whatever. That's what
for the
we
kids
saw with
that
Novak
to college.
This rate
That
has
already
been going on
is
for a very long
absolutely
time.
sinister,
A really
because
good friend
what
of mine
you
was a
allow
victim
the colleges
one
to
of
do
these. By the way,
is
she
just
wasn't
absolutely
white.
bloat their staff with a bunch of
Pakistani origin.
administrators
In
that
a
aren't
in a
providing a
northern
better
town.
education.
So I know this
Remember,
story
Xi
very
Jinping
well.
just killed off a bunch of
She
degrees you
was
get. He's like,
asked around
So these don't matter in the modern economy. So we've got people going to universities to get degrees that literally don't matter. You're not going to add value. This is why you remain in debt for so long, because your job is not going to pay you enough for that investment. So this is like everybody's an entrepreneur of their own life, and they say, to start my company, my life, I'm going to take on this debt in order to go get this degree so that I can build this company, my life. And the government's like, yeah, cool, I'm going to back you. And by the way, and so I'll guarantee it, so the banks will give you the loan, and then the schools are going to get their money whether you end up succeeding or not. And so the schools win, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bloating, getting more and more obese. And more degrees are added on that are never going to pay back, so there are bad companies that never should have been funded in the first place. And taxpayers are going to eat that when that kid defaults. Whether now or in the future, the taxpayer ends up having to pick up the tab. So what they should do is go, oh, we need to free market this, because some of these degrees are stupid. And so we're going to let kids.
Well, as it pertains to children and HHS and them losing children,
there's a lot more to come out than there's been.
I don't know how my family all could have converged without the
what we are learning is worse than
provided a shelter.
That's been previously.
Family's the only thing you have, really.
because he oversaw, as HHS director, he oversaw all of the children, smuggled children into our border, like across the border.
Yes.
Are we over the target here? So then, he's the one. He lost. What was the number? He lost 500,000, 400,000 children.
But don't try to start a business on that. That's fucking stupid. Your life is a business. And so
lost is the wrong
government shouldn't be backing these loans. Fuck you. People take out a bad loan. They need to be able to declare bankruptcy. So that, here's the punchline of it all, the banks are disciplined about who they loan money to. Right now, the government's like, you don't need to be disciplined. I'm going to cover you. So they'll back anybody to go to college. And it has created these insane distortions. Once again,
the way that they always end up putting their
ideology. Let banks go out of business for making bad loans. Full stop. End of story. Then all of a sudden,
so that's going to be a bombshell that you are going to drop.
What'd you get on your SATs?
Against your opponent?
You either are or are not.
Yeah, we're working on that, so we'll see. I don't know. I can't think you're going to be able to pay this back yet about the timing.
Once you force that discipline,
this guy is not fit to be. I've said it before. I'll say it directly to you again.
You no longer have generation after generation saddled with this insane debt, because the schools know they can charge more and more money, because the government's going to guarantee your loan, and the banks are going to give you for like these insane figures.
We know that you wish to bring prosecutions against those who committed fraud, potentially the current leadership of the state of California. They all have their own legal troubles. What should happen to the Labour Party members and the people who covered up the rape gangs in the UK? What should happen to them?
First person in your family to go to college.
There's got to be some accountability. I mean, how do you get away with this?
So,
I mean,
this is force
it undermines the fabric of society and people's confidence. This is why I think you got this sense that things are falling apart, that things become ungovernable. When people see all this going on and like,
almost as big as the military
pays a price,
budget.
And the victims
is this something
for
that
years
should be
tell their stories
talked
and
about?
nothing
My proposal always was
about.
the government should be making profit off of kids.
So I don't know the legal avenues available.
If you do have a student loan, cool, you can pay it back. Just pay it back principal.
And it hasn't even really
the government has plenty of money, they don't need to make
there's been a report done.
A bunch of
actually by someone I know very well, and it's a very thorough report.
Loan down by 30-40% on average.
Done there, but
at least now we're under $1 trillion.
That's documenting what
some people want to forgive it full stop.
There has to be some accountability, but I don't know, it doesn't seem to be any appetite for it, because I think you still got that political correct culture dominant.
The least controversial one would be you've got to let them declare bankruptcy.
We don't want to look
anybody with student loan debt should be able to discharge it by biting a bullet and filing
can't be offended, can't be treated on the same way.
File for bankruptcy and now got 7 years of like bad credit, but hey, better that than a lifetime
offensive. It's very, very dangerous, and it's not a way to run a society. So we're sadly using the UK as a neon flashing warning sign for what happened here in our country and what has already happened in California.
This is one of those
something that is also very dangerous. Is this image? We'll close with this. This video. It's a cherished video in our archive. It's of you with a giant python around your neck, as you stand in the streets of Skid Row. Don't let anybody
never tell you.
Just make
Steve Hilton didn't go out and earn this position the hard way, being the Republican nominee in California.
I'm never going to make this back.
Here he is with a massive
Double
python, and
so
almost
I
man
think
who
there
then
are
puts it around his neck.
of sophisticated ways that we
Steve
can
listened
go
to him
about
with absolute
that
clarity,
relatively
and
straightforward,
honesty,
not
and respect.
But right now,
and then
that's the one thing.
went about
Hey, wouldn't you know it?
visiting
Politicians
and
banging
seeing
the
the
drum. Let's make it a tax
horrific
bill.
state of Skid Row.
All right, and then the second thing,
actually
this
truly does
is
care.
in,
This video, I did not know this did so well. This has over 1 million views on X.
Like
Steve.
on her name.
There's
5%
that part
time
when I
tax on
put,
Elon,
I
and
didn't
this
realize, and then I put my arm on him, and then
he used Elon money to solve like 4 problems already. So
Let's see that again.
Yeah, this yes.
all right, we're going to help for 5%.
Elon stay here.
Does he actually put this? How I don't know. Actually, I haven't watched the video in a while. At what point does he actually put this?
5%, and he wouldn't even miss it because the market would grow by 15% and his wealth would.
After the show on X. Thank you, Steve, for your incredible bravery here for this. Literally, the man versus the machine in California. We're rooting for you. We have your back, and I can't wait to see you out in the Golden State, making Golden State golden again. Very soon.
Fantastic. Great to see you, Penny. See you soon.
Godspeed, Steve.
All right, good. Alexa, play music from 1936.
Playing music from 1936 on Amazon.
Taney's made great progress yesterday. They will continue to work at the technical level with the teams here in Bergenstock, and then those technical negotiations are going to continue over the weeks and days to come.
All right, so what's the truth? Did they really make good progress over this weekend? Hell no. Not just no, hell no. Iranians came out and said that they will not be giving up. Hear me out here. State television bragging. Iran came out and stated they will not be giving up their nuclear enrichment capabilities. And how did the United States end up awarding Iran for this wonderful statement? Well, we released all of the frickin' sanctions on their oil. OPEC ended up dropping them today, allowing them to be able to do basically whatever the hell they want with selling their oil in the open market. So as far as I'm concerned, we ended up awarding it. If you don't believe me, here is the Office of Foreign Asset Control, OPEC, ended up coming out saying that, you know, go for it, man. Sell your oil wherever the hell you want. Man, it is what it is. All right, signed by the frickin' director. Let's see here. What was the 60s likely? That's hilarious. Eagles fan Clark says, Matt, don't let the Muslim people respect action. Don't the Muslim people respect action? What actions has JD done for Qatar, etc.? JD doesn't seem to be good at being in touch at all. No, JD's pretty out of touch, man. I will say that for once this weekend, we did have JD come out and scream that Hezbollah needs to get controlled by Iran, and we did have Donald Trump come out and say the same thing. We did have Donald Trump come out with like some more serious threats. To me, it seems that all of us that are actually providing the truth that this was a bad deal, that America is now trying to save face. It appears that JD, if you want to know my opinion on it, I think that Donald Trump handed this off to JD and told JD, look, man, you want my endorsement as president? Handle the Iran situation. Bring it to a closure. And JD said, I got you, man. And then ends up throwing this whole freaking catastrophe together. And now he's got his little minions online out there trying to convince everybody that it's a great thing when we all know it's a shit deal. Let's see, Adam DLC says Trump and JD studied the maps like Kamala and Gaza. That's a pretty accurate statement. Fox McCloud, appreciate your donation. And you know, yelling at whoever that guy is. This is Marley says, it's okay that you're a paid Israeli propagandist, but please change the flag behind you. Who's ACOG and why does he get 5 every episode? I have no idea who ACOG is, but let me highlight that flag for you now because you want to talk shit. I am an American and I have fought for that flag and I am American first. I'm not an idiot and I know exactly what it takes to defend this country and I know exactly what the terrorists outside of this country are willing to do in order to kill you, me, and everybody else in existence. So you don't get to sit here and try to gaslight me and everybody else to think that I'm not pro-America and I'm not America first. You're stupid to even try to allege that, all right? Further, Incog Faraday gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. That's equal to $25. Let's see here. YouTube takes 30% of it. My partner on this channel takes another 20%. So out of that $25, I would make $12 roughly before tax. So if you really want to like try to figure out something like I'm being paid somehow by foreign propagandists, maybe you should try to find somebody that's giving me maybe not $8 a day. Alright, just throwing that out there, man. If you want to come over here and talk shit to me, and you think I'm paid, maybe find a better asset, you know, that's actually paying me. Because people that support this channel, that have seen me for years, actually provide the truth, even when people like you, who was that retard, freaking Matt Gaetz, and everybody else doesn't want to actually way out provide the truth of what's going on. Find something better, man. Find something concrete. Because that's not concrete, nor am I being paid by any other freaking country. What we have here is we have a social media platform with people that are watching from around the world. I get people from Australia, I get people from freaking EU, I get most of them, 80 to 90% of the people here from the United States of America that are actually watching this show. And yet you think because one guy who's a fan of this show that's a frequent contributor is somehow evidence that I am a paid for an asset, you're retarded. I don't know how else to say that. Good luck though. Michael coming in giving out $2, saying Matt for president, thank you very much. Dylan McClung coming in and giving out 10. He says it's not my birthday, but here's the donation for the beard tax. Yeah, should I hold my beard hostage until I raise certain amounts of money? It's a good one. Yes, Abby, I did. I boofed my beard off. I did it. All the comments on the beards, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's gone, but I'm gonna grow it right back out. Dylan McClung says, did I miss something? I'm a few minutes late, but where'd you hide the beard? Dude, my beard, she gone, but she's coming back. Liz Marley says, open your crypto wallet on a live. Number 1, I have a crypto wallet, however, I'm not going to open it on a live session because that's stupid. I really don't know the proper way to do that, but I can tell you I maybe have $1,500 hanging out in crypto. 15 max right now hanging out in crypto, so that's also not a good thing. Lambo says, here, you want me to do it? I'll do it, fuck it.
That are putting a lot of lies in our media.
No, sir.
And
Let's see here.
violence.
And then you're gonna feel retarded. I don't even know where my crypto wallet is, that's how often I use it. Give me a sec.
It's insane. It opens up the discussion, I think, you know, in that respect.
I don't have a crypto wallet, I have a Coinbase account.
Right, I mean, it literally.
And there's my portfolio on my Coinbase account. I was wrong. It's not even 1,500. It's 1,000.
On the scene and was like, hold on.
I don't have a crypto wallet there, bud.
You do put that hose down. I heard you're involved with whatever. You know,
pretty pointless. I
don't
know why you're even trying to come at me like I'm a paid for an asset. I legitimately do this every single day.
Like, what the hell?
Fox McCloud says, what was yeah, we already did that one. Anything else? Do you want me to do for you? Anything else? Do you want me to disclose all my banking records and everything else because you think I'm a paid for an asset? You're a fucking moron, dude. Like, I'm so tired of stupid people. Oh my god, he spoke the truth. Oh no. Oh no. Yes, for some reason, me showing you that the UN sucks at life, JD has no idea what the fuck he's doing with foreign policy, somehow makes me a paid foreign agent. You let me know, man. Explain to me. You explain to me how this, right here that's up on the screen, literally that location with the red arrow surrounded by the UN, massive tunnels that are being built, makes me a paid foreign agent. Explain to me how that makes me a paid foreign agent. Explain to me how doing this makes me a paid foreign agent by showing you how jacked up the UN is and how stupid J.D. Vance and Donald Trump's statements were earlier this week. That doesn't make me a paid foreign agent. That makes me an honest human being. If you don't like the fact that facts don't go along with what the President of the United States and what J.D. Vance have been telling you and morons like Matt Gaetz have been telling you, maybe you should ask them if they're paid foreign agents, because this is the fucking truth. And what I noticed is that I'm so sick and tired of this bullshit, dude. It is to the point where if you don't suck Donald Trump's dick, if you don't grab his balls and couple them and frickin' try to blow him so frickin' high that he floats off into outer space on frickin' Cloud 9, that all of a sudden you're a paid foreign agent. You understand that you don't have to agree with somebody 100% of the time. It's called being a free thinker, being intellectually honest, actually throwing things out there that are true. And if that truth doesn't fit with your agenda because you have been lied to and you're too stupid to assess the facts, to actually look at the facts of what's taking place and go, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been lied to. You don't believe me? Dude, this is pinned up over to my freaking X account with the link to the actual UN website that shows you every single one of these positions. Every single one. You think I drew this map up? You think I lied and created this shit?
Strawberry delight.
You can't be that stupid, man.
Harris Farmers Union helps you get growing. Enjoy nut trees, shade trees, fruit trees, including apple, cherry, peach, pear, and plum, plus flowering shrubs and berry bushes. Get your garden started with our Easy Grow greenhouse and move your plants out.
And maybe discover about to see alongside of ISIS, fighting with ISIS, not against, but with ISIS to murder Christians. Donald Trump claims that he needs to go into Lebanon in order to do a better job than Israel. And we call him out on social media, and that shit runs viral.
But better.
Magically, after they try to launch a disinformation campaign against us, claiming that we're paid foreign agents, and it doesn't work, and his stupid son tries to put out a tweet that says we don't know any freaking better, and then he just gets slammed in his comments, Donald Trump comes out with this statement: Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week, only harder. You know what that is? That's telling the truth about what's going on overseas and freaking putting Donald Trump and every single one of his stupid advisors on blast that tried to tell him that what he was doing was correct and that everything that was going on was a really popular decision. No, we put his ass on blast because his advisors steered him wrong. And as an American, it is your job to question your government and to hold them accountable, not to hold undying allegiance to a freaking political figure that you voted for. Because that political figure very well could be going wrong. And it's like we've seen this before. Hey, remind me again, who was it that took the COVID vaccine and cut all of the crap out of the way and blew that into the American public's face? What president did that again? Does anybody remember here? Let me run a poll on that. You know, let's start that poll. What president cut the red tape and pushed for the COVID vax, and thrust, I don't even know how to say his name, Fauci forward as the expert? Who did that? Was that Trump or was that Biden? Somebody remind me which president did that. I'm just gonna go here. Let's run the poll real quick. Somebody remind me, what president did all of those things that I just brought up? Does anybody know? Does anybody? Oh, it's too long. Let me see if I can cut that out. Maybe that's good. Who? Yeah, good. There we go. Now we can. Dang it, it's too long. What president did that, ladies and gentlemen? You tell me. Which one? Poll is too long, my butt. No, delete that option. Stop that. I think I have room. 87 out of 100. Dang right I do. Let's run this poll. You ready? Because YouTube wants to play games with me. What's the matter? It says COVID and I can't do it? It's not too long. It's 91 out of 100. All that's there. I'll delete that. Start poll. Go. All right, you guys answer that poll. What president did that? Go ahead. Answer that poll. Let's see here. Omega Supreme says, on behalf of the Iranian people who yearn for freedom and enduring friendship with both America and Israel, thank you very much. Remember the Good says, hi from Malaysia, love your content, ignore the troll. Oh, no, we're going to keep doing it. Incock says, don't know where you're on your candidacy. It wouldn't surprise me if political turds enter the chat. Ooh, that's valid. That is valid. Important Dan says, I love you, bro. I hope you had a great Father's Day. Today's from verse of Proverbs 17:24. Wisdom in the sight of him who has understanding, but the eyes of the fool are at the ends of the earth. Nailed it. Thank you, sir, for that one. And Undercover a Lamp came in gifting me 30 pieces of silver. Those have to be really small because silver is currently at what, like 65, 70 bucks an ounce. It was Trump, but Biden mandated it, not Trump. Oh, okay, so Trump was the one that took Fauci, made him the expert, right? Started off with the, 2 weeks to curve the frickin' stop the spread or whatever the hell it was. He was the one that came up with that. He was the one that cleared the way for the COVID vax. He was the one that got behind it and all that other bullshit, and somehow that got out of there. And then Biden ended up putting the mandate in, correct. And Biden's the one that stood by him. So does that sound like good, sound, solid logic to you? Listen, it is okay to question your leadership. The fact that Trump did that and nobody questioned it and everybody went on with it, do you think that maybe, just maybe, because Trump is the one that promoted Fauci into the freaking public light, Trump is the one that cleared the way for the COVID vax, saying it was going to be a good thing and save a ton of lives? We can go pull up the clips if I need to. Do you think maybe because Trump was the one saying that that was a good thing, he convinced a bunch of Republicans to also not question and get behind it when Joe Biden pushed it? Are we going to pretend like he has no fault in that whatsoever? Are we? And so when I sit here and I tell you that this president has made major mistakes in the past, and is making major mistakes today, you guys want to sit here and pretend like Donald Trump is freaking infallible, that he can't make a mistake, that he knows everything. And if it's for some reason, if it's so stupid looking that nobody can tell what's going on, you guys try to sit back and say, you know what? It's part of this 5D chess move. It's 5D chess. Oh, okay, 5D chess. You mean to tell me 5D chess, part of his big 5D chess plan was to have his freaking vice president get absolutely embarrassed on the world stage? Is that what you mean to tell me? This was 5D chess. Have JD Vance stand there with a dick growing out of his forehead while he gets ignored by the Qatari foreign minister and looks absolutely weak on the world stage when Iran walks in and does the exact same thing. You mean to tell me that's 5D chess? You mean to tell me it was 5D chess for them to go in and blame Israel and suggest an Al-Qaeda terrorist go into Lebanon? You mean to tell me that was 5D chess? How stupid are you? You cannot be that freaking ingrained, like, into the MAGA movement that you can't come out and step out for a minute. You know the MAGA movement was originally about questioning their government? You know that? Or are you just lost in the sauce? MAGA movement has a huge freaking history of questioning the government. And yet you guys just want to sit here and pretend like, oh, now you're questioning what Trump's doing, therefore, no. You know what it is? New information came to light. You know why? Here, let's get into this segment. You know why? You know why? Because we have a history of some things that were going on. Are you ready? Here's an article of June from 2025. You don't pretend like Donald Trump has been honest this whole time and he knows what's going on. Let me just Control F and find this. We assess the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Again, this is June of 2025. We assess that the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities combined with Israeli strikes on elements of Iran's nuclear program has set Iran's ability to develop a nuclear weapon back by many years. The achievement cannot be indefinite, can continue indefinitely if Iran does not access the nuclear material. Okay. I want you to pay attention to that last line. The achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran doesn't access the nuclear material. You ready? Let's go to the next one. Witkoff. It will be almost impossible for them to resurrect that program, adding it will take a period of years. We can fast forward. This is March of 2020.
morning. Next thing I know, I get a call from the cops telling me that my baby dollar got shot.
Yeah, he's gonna be up for $1/4 while we digging this hole, trying not to get struck by the lightning as the rain turns the soil into muck. Gotta get her in the ground, boy, the boys run them up.
Well, guess who else ain't waiting? Gotta connect at the court to my boy named Nathan. He knows a back way in. I'm gonna be laying in the cut with the AK from my brother Raylan.
While I was digging a grave in a rainstorm in Kentucky last night. While I was digging a grave in a rainstorm in Kentucky, I was knee deep in that muddy water, missing my baby, my baby.
Through the county, a fan for the bounty. Out on the head to get him dead and make him count me.
A life for a life, I have to do what I have to do, and now that she's gone, what the hell do I have to lose?
You gotta take that shovel in a rainstorm in Kentucky. When it's time, you gotta take that shovel in a rainstorm in Kentucky. That grave, oh Lord, has to get dug for my baby, my baby.
Graham Plattner blamed women for getting raped. Plattner said to avoid rape, women should act like an adult for F's sake. He's an awful person. Graham Plattner is dangerous. I would never vote for Graham Plattner.
Uranium. If Iran can't get to the uranium, they can't build a nuclear weapon. Trump admits they can't get to the uranium, can't build a nuclear weapon. Trump told us last year that they couldn't get to it and that we were completely effective, that we destroyed it. Argued that the U.S. government hasn't made a single claim about Iran moving the enriched uranium, Eagles fan. Made a single claim about them moving the enriched uranium. So at this point, something has to be true. Either the United States government lied to the American people in June and July of last year following Midnight Hammer, or they lied to the people in February and March when they said Iran was 2 weeks away from getting a nuclear weapon, or they just lied to the American people when they said that
Blubbering Cave with Liberty Bibbity. It's bundle and save on insurance with Liberty Mutual. Okay, let's do another take. What do you want me to say? The line. Say the line. Oh, that's
Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance cause the world is ending.
But at the point we're gonna
Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance cause the world is ending.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance cause the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance cause the world is ending. This is who you are. This is who
joining us today. My name is Patrick Peltier, and I'll be a moderator for this press conference. Before we start, I would like to ask you to please put your phones on silent mode. Today, we are joined by Chief Superintendent Murray Chamberlain, Saskatchewan's RCMP's Criminal Operations Officer. We'll be providing an update of an incident in Melbourne. A brief question and answer period will follow. Chief Superintendent will have the floor in a moment. I'm just going to read this in French. Bonjour à tous. Merci de vous joindre à nous aujourd'hui. Je m'appelle Patrick Peltier et je serai votre modérateur pour cette conférence de presse. Avant de commencer, je vous demanderai de mettre vos téléphones en mode silencieux. Aujourd'hui, nous accueillons le surintendant principal Murray Chamberlain, officier responsable des enquêtes criminelles de la GRC de la Saskatchewan, qui fera le point sur un incident survenu à Melville. Une brève période de questions suivra. Sir, the floor is yours.
By the way,
thank you, Patrick.
remember how I said we called him out?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm Chief Superintendent Murray Chamberlain, Criminal Operations Officer for the Saskatchewan RCMP. I'm here this morning to provide some details about the incident that took place last night in Melville, Saskatchewan. Last night, at approximately 9:30 p.m., Melville RCMP officers responded to a complaint of an assault on 8th Avenue in Melville. As members arrived at the residence, a firearm was discharged and 2 members were struck. The officers were transported to hospital in Regina with injuries believed to be serious in nature. An armed individual, believed to be an adult male, remained in the residence. Officers from the Melville RCMP and Saskatchewan's RCMP Critical Incident Response Team responded. The Critical Incident Response Team includes our Emergency Response Team, the Critical Incident Negotiators, and the Police Dog Services. Officers within our Serious Crimes Unit were also engaged. Government of Saskatchewan Protection and Response Team assisted along with SWAT officers from Regina Police Service. The Saskatchewan RCMP carefully monitored this situation throughout, continually assessing whether we required an emergency or dangerous persons alert. Ultimately, an alert was not issued as we were confident that the suspect was contained in the residence and therefore there was no elevated risk to public safety. At approximately 2 a.m. this morning, the suspect and another occupant exited the residence. The suspect was arrested and remains in custody. The other occupant was initially detained but was released shortly thereafter and has been determined that that person was not involved in the incident. Saskatchewan RCMP Serious Crimes Unit has carriage of the ongoing investigation. There will continue to be an increased police presence in Melville as they continue their work. Charges have not been laid at this time, and as such, I cannot provide information about the individual who is being arrested. Investigators do not believe there is an increased risk or further risk to public safety. However, obviously, if that was to change, we would notify the public immediately. I don't have an additional update right now on the status of our injured officers. Our thoughts are with them, their families, and their colleagues. This incident is a stark reminder of the danger police officers face every day. It highlights how unpredictable the work can be.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Key, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Newcastle. Right now you can lease a new 2026 Jeep.
They continue to step forward to keep others safe despite knowing the risks. What started off as a report of an assault, something we attend to routinely, ended as a potentially life-changing call for 2 of our officers. I spent last night at the hospital with the officers and their loved ones. I'd like to thank the Melville EMS and staff at both Melville and Regina hospitals for caring for our members.
Against the patriarchy after Father's Day and say thank you to the patriarchy, to all the patriarchs of the fine American households out there.
Staff at both Melville and Regina hospitals for caring for our members. That both change off as a report of an assault officers face every day. It highlights how unpredictable the work can be, and I'm proud of the professionalism and courage shown by all of our members last night. They continue to step forward to keep others safe despite knowing the risks. What started off as a report of an assault, something we attend to routinely, ended as a potentially life-changing call for 2 of our officers. I spent last night at the hospital with the officers and their loved ones. I'd like to thank the Melville EMS and staff at both Melville and Regina hospitals for caring for our members. We will continue to support our members, their families, and the Melville detachment during this time. And we will continue to share public updates as new information arises. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Je vais lire maintenant ce que le surintendant a mentionné. Bonjour et merci à tous d'être ici aujourd'hui. Je m'appelle Patrick Pelletier. Je suis le porte-parole des privés du gouvernement de la Saskatchewan a également offert son aide. Toute, comme une équipe d'intervention spéciale du service de police de Regina. La GRC de la Saskatchewan a surveillé étroitement la situation. Cette évaluation continue visait entre autres à déterminer s'il y a lieu de lancer une alerte d'urgence. Néanmoins, aucune alerte n'a été lancée car le suspect a été confiné dans la résidence des agents convoqués. Il n'y avait pas de responsabilité pour la sécurité du public. Vers 2 heures, le suspect et un autre document sont sortis de la résidence. Le suspect a été arrêté et est toujours en détention. L'autre occupant a d'abord été placé en détention, mais a été libéré peu après. Le deuxième occupant a depuis été innocenté de détention. Le groupe des crimes graves de la GRC de la Saskatchewan est maintenant responsable de l'enquête en cours. This guy and the entire Bongino family. Jasmine, you went on to thank you. She is. Andy, Josh, Guy, Justin, we're all in. Thank you, patriarchy. Selon les enquêteurs,
I hate that term in all seriousness. In all seriousness. In all seriousness. Really, thank you. Dad's out there. My father, love you, Dad. You can say that.
Nos pensées vont aux agents, familles, jusqu'à leur collègue. Cette situation est un danger auquel les policiers et policiers
my 2 daughters gave me this car. My oldest daughter.
Cela montre à quel point le travail est qui a du professionnalisme, du courage,
I hope your kid does the same. It's true. How can it be true? Because it is. Don't try to read. You know. My youngest daughter
tout en connaissant les risques. Spécialement une situation dans laquelle nous intervenons couramment après une tournure qui changera la vie de nos agents. La nuit dernière, le surintendant principal Chamberlain est resté à l'hôpital avec les agents blessés et leurs proches.
We love the patriarchy. Keith, you love the patriarchy? You're the senior guy here. Yes, he does. Who in the chat loves the patriarchy? Tear it up! I know, it's true. He's about to join the patriarchy. You guys notice? Kim is pregnant. I think he put that out there. He is about to be a patriarch himself with his family.
Please use the microphone that's behind you.
Congratulations. Everybody, American flags in the chat celebrating the patriarchy.
And then ask your question, and when you're done, we ask that
you know what he's saying?
Nous allons prendre quelques questions maintenant. Nous demandons d'utiliser le micro en arrière de la salle. Assurez-vous que le micro soit ouvert. Et ensuite, identifiez votre nom et à quel âge.
American flags in the chat. Even you said that was good. And this cat throws compliments around like freaking Mack trucks. Forget about manhole stuff. He don't compliment anyone. He's like Mr. Macabre.
How are other officers feeling right now?
It's become a bit on the show that I just like to run. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to be a dad. I need to love him. Well, I got the product for you, Key. Lean. I always need the Lord right there. Lean. I used it. Although I'm losing a lot of weight. I'm down to like 194 now. So lean works. So I lost my 30 pounds. Many Americans try the weight loss shot.
Yes.
Side effects.
Can you explain a little bit about the decisions around
Brickhouse. You just saw it for needles and prescriptions. It works. Go to brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Just go Dan for 20% off. Results vary. Not FDA. Brickhouse Nutrition. Today's show also brought to you by American Financing. The today's uncertain economy, American financing is helping families find a way out of the high-interest debt trap. You don't need that. We're heading into summer, but some of these economic clouds aren't clearing for a lot of middle-class families. Between inflation and the cost of daily life, you're likely feeling economic pressure. Working hard for your home, you probably have more equity than you realize. Yet the summer surge is forcing many American families to rely on credit cards. It's an exhausting cycle. But American Financing understands that 2026 requires a real strategy. It's a great company. They're here to help you. They have salary-based mortgage consulting. With mortgage rates in the fives, their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's huge. By wiping out high-interest debt, that's money that stays in your wallet, your pocket, to help fight back against rising costs. And important, call them up today. They have no upfront fees. There's no pressure. If you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments. Huge. Call American Financing today. 888-994-7660. That's 888-994-7660. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Bongino. Again, it's a .net address. AmericanFinancing.net/Bongino. Thank you. All right, fellas, let's go. It's the summer, so I know a lot of you are out with your families, and that's
Hello, Jeremy Simon
some
from
of you
Canadian
will watch
Press.
later.
Were
Some of
officers
you may miss,
inside
that's
the
okay.
house when
Spend
they were
some time
shot?
with your family, your kids. It's Father's Day. I put this tweet out the other day. In case you're interested in a little
Can you expound on that a bit further then?
photographic
So
kind of memory time
was
of how
the
I got here.
suspect,
This is my father, and he got
shooting
married to
out
my
at
mother
them as
there.
they were
A couple people told me he looked like the Fonz from Happy Days. There he is. He doesn't look that much older now. He's got that Sicilian blood. He doesn't really age much. So there's Pops right
Groski
there.
with Grasslands News, and I'm not sure if you
This is
can
my
answer this
grandfather
or
on my
not,
father's
but
side.
curious
His
if
father,
the,
he was a real badass.
involved
Although I
were
put this picture up
also
on Twitter,
in
my
relation
grandmother
to,
too. She was a real beauty. And that's me and my brother there in our old house.
Custom house.
You notice the pack of Marlboros? That was like ubiquitous. Don't smoke, it's bad for your lungs, okay? We get it. But everybody smoked back then. Those were my mother. She smoked Marlboro. She smoked Marlboro lights later. So everybody commented on the Marlboro pack on the Twitter post. And this is one of the biggest badasses in the history of humanity. This is my mother's father. Yes, that is not AI. He is that big. He's about 6'4". He was a monster. He looked like an offensive lineman. He was the best guy. He was a real badass. He owned a bar.
Thanks for doing
He tried
this.
to rob him
Donovan
one time.
Smith,
He kept his money in his pocket in a rubber band.
This is not the first
And what happened?
police
He
violence
told him to
across
go
the
after himself, so
country
he shot him.
of late. Just
You're like, oh my gosh, did he die? No, he
having
lived.
this situation
He was a
happen
real
close
badass.
to home.
That's,
I guess what does this say about a
Died,
rise
they
in
wrote a
violence
op-ed.
against police officers, whether SCMP
So
or other
that's the
jurisdictions?
Happy Father's Day. All right, folks. Listen, I know this story may sound dumb. The Algiers, okay? The reflecting pool saga, and it is dumb. It's very dumb. So why are we talking about it? Because, folks, the Algae Wars and the reflecting pool, and how this magically has become the biggest story in the media. Donald Trump's repair and rejuvenation product, work product he produced at the reflecting pool. How this has become an international story, despite everything going on with Iran, the Strait, the economy, and elsewhere, the border being sealed, all these good news stories, is epidemic of how we got here. They reminded me over the weekend, looking through all the psychosis.
Hi, John Cairns from SAS Today. I'm just curious if there might be an internal review
the definition of like DSM
afterwards
diagnosable.
view towards
Insanity. But I want
safety
you to
of
remember how
all
we
of your
got
officers in terms
and
of
how
what could be done.
we're in this era now where when you lose compass true north, when nobody agrees on what's reasonable or real anymore. This is why I'm trying to prevent our movement from going there. As Yuri Bezmenov, the KGB defector, said, ladies and gentlemen, the country collapses from the inside because you have this Tower of Babel effect. Think about truth as a language, okay? The language of facts. When people can't agree on what facts are, the entire society and fabric of it, as you know, implodes and collapses on itself. I mean, think about it in very simple terms. If you're a carpenter and you're going to put a light up in a house, and you need a certain amount of clearance for this light, and nobody can agree on what an inch is or what a foot is, you're going to get the wrong measurement. Oh, you're using your foot? I used our foot instead. What do you mean there's only 1 foot? Facts are facts. What's happened with the left is because they've become so detached from reason and no compass true north, they've gone crazy in the psychosis where I'm telling you, President Trump cured the hantavirus,
how long
the
they've
left
been with
would
the
there'd be a
force.
lobby out there pro-hantavirus.
Are they both
They would
males?
be
One
out there
woman?
claiming like, I can't believe we're costing all these doctors money who treat people like hantavirus. There's a story about that in Oakland, California. There's been fewer car break-ins due to a better law enforcement approach. Thanks, KTVU.
What has happened
A
to the
decline in
gun
car break-ins across Oakland is being welcomed as a public safety win. That's because it is. But it's also contributing to a downturn for some local auto glass repair businesses. Folks, how did we get here? How did we get here where there's no compass, true north, Tower of Babel, everybody?
Gareth Dillenstone with CTV News.
Reality.
After the shooting occurred, were the members able
Basic
to
human
self-evacuate and
like
get clear of the
cleaning
scene so they could
nasty
get medical care more
algae
quickly, or were they stuck at the scene until backup arrived?
Media conspiracy theory story. How did we get here? We got here two ways. Reason gets scrapped and thrown out of the window because of show your ass theory, where liberals, in order to prove to other liberals how much they hate Trump, have to constantly supersede the prior level of craziness to show your bona fides. You don't like Trump's border wall? That was enough. Now, everyone says they don't like it. Now you got to go to another. Now you got to go to like a Trump conspiracy theory about like how crime is.
I guess
really
I'm
a good thing
just
and Trump should
wondering
let it
if
happen.
you can just provide some
Then you go to
information
like
on
the
this, like were the
pro-algae
officers
stuff. You
wearing
see how to
vests?
show your ass
Do they have
theory,
body
how liberals have
cams?
to constantly say crazy
Was
things
alcohol or
about
drug
Trump
use
and
involved
take
at all
more and more
with this
untenable positions to prove to other liberals they hate Trump more than the next guy. That's how you get to this reality distortion field of gaslighting. Here's what I mean. Here's Stephen King this weekend. This reflecting pool thing is out of control. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. There are actual people in freaking dinosaur costumes at the reflecting pool protesting for the return of algae to the reflecting pool. This is nuts. I've never seen anything like it. But it's an important story because it shows you that you have a choice in these midterm elections between people who don't care about ideas and only care about power. They will take psychotic positions to get rid of Trump and an obstacle to their takeover of the United States, and they don't care what you think, even when the facts are right in front of their face. Look at this nut Stephen King, of course, the fiction writer. This guy and I have had some epic fights over the years. This guy's a freaking lunatic. He loves my Twitter account. Here's Stephen King, infamous author. Nobody is vandalizing the reflecting pool, and Trump knows it. There have been arrests. This is a visible example of his corruption. No bid contract to some crony, followed by sky-high cost overruns and shoddy construction to boot. Classic Trump. I didn't F this up, it was my enemy. There have been arrests for vandalizing of the pool. Did you miss it? Donald Trump even talked about it on his True Social account. How freaking crazy are we in of a time right now where you've got a political party that has made their staple issue going into a midterm election algae in the reflecting pool in D.C. This is the only thing they care about. Affordability, gas prices, all that stuff they claim they're running on. Bullshit. The reflecting pool is the issue. Why? Listen to what Brother Dan just told you. We have reached the point on the left. We reached it a long time ago, but it's getting worse. Ideas don't matter anymore. What's the idea? Reflecting pool clean or reflecting pool dirty? They don't care. They don't care. It's not the idea. Donald Trump has become their singular focus of obsession, and it's an obstacle, a big obstacle, to their organized attempt to corrupt the United States and take back power. Whatever position they have to take, including pro-algae, they will take. I bet you guys didn't even know this, but Barack Obama put nearly twice as much money into a reflecting pool Lincoln Memorial cleanup operation. By the way, which is a good thing. I'm not mad at Obama for that at all. Matter of fact, so few people made a big deal out of it that I guarantee this is probably the first time you're hearing about it. It was only a big deal when Trump did it. Why? Because the it was an issue? No, the Trump was the issue. Here's the great Scott Jennings hat tip from him to his Twitter feed, having it out on CNN with some idiot who didn't even know that Obama poured in almost twice the money into trying to clean this project up. Nobody knew this because it wasn't an issue, because Obama did it, not Trump. And then Scott plays the actual news reports about how much it costs and how algae over there has been a constant problem. Proving to you again, it's not about the freaking algae, it's about the Trump. Check this out.
That $48 million plus price tag that is
associated with this cleanup project was ridiculous.
Would you oppose President Obama spending $34 million on memorial and reflecting pool?
I know that
These revolutionary guards in Iran record their first dramatic victory overnight. The Iranian regime is testing Washington's limits and trying to improve its position in the negotiations through threats. And we will bring you the image that is shaking the world. United States Vice President J.D. Vance humiliated by the Iranians, while the Revolutionary Guards threatened to blow up the talks. The United States agreed to approve oil sales for Iran and even unfrozen Iranian frozen assets. All the while, the Revolutionary Guard declared the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And then came the insane demand from the Iranians to Trump as a condition for continuing the negotiations. Following this demand, Trump began threatening Iran again. If you close the Strait of Hormuz, we will take control of it. And at the same time, the Revolutionary Guards flexed their muscles. They got up, they left the negotiating table, and then returned to it. It seems that Trump is playing a double game. So, what's really hiding behind the reconciliation with Iran? And inside Iran, the regime in Tehran is inventing espionage in order to murder opponents. We will bring you all the details that we have in this report. And the Israeli Mossad eliminated the Iranian AI pioneer. In Iran, they accused Israel, and we will bring you all the details very soon. I'm Yair Pinto, with me is Mike Shoshani. We are here at Boots on the Ground. We bring you the whole truth about what is happening in Israel and also the whole truth about what is happening in our neighborhood, the Middle East. Today is June 22nd, so let's begin. The round of talks between the American and the Iranian delegations ended tonight, between Sunday and Monday, after 18 hours of discussions. According to a joint statement by the mediators, Qatar and Pakistan, the sides agreed on a roadmap for resolving disputes and establishing regional stability. According to the mediators, the contacts took place in a positive and constructive atmosphere, but encountered significant difficulties because of militant rhetoric from the United States President Donald Trump. In an interview with Fox News, Trump threatened that the United States may take control of the Strait of Hormuz and called the Iranians harsh names. Close it, and you will not have a country. You will not even be able to return to your country. Despite the historic humiliation that was experienced yesterday by the American delegation in Switzerland, headed by Vice President J.D. Vance, Iran recorded tonight, according to its version, its first dramatic victory in Lucerne. According to the statement by the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, Iran already achieved in the first session a partial removal of the sanctions that have been choking its economy for years. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Bagahi claimed that the Iranian delegation initially announced the intention to stop the talks if the format will not change because of Trump's threats. And in the end, the mediators, which are Qatar and Pakistan, they managed to preserve the continuity of the discussions in the technical formats. So what did Trump say that angered the Revolutionary Guard so much? He said that the United States may take control of the Strait of Hormuz if Iran closes it, and warned the president of Iran that he had better watch his mouth. And according to reports in Iran, at the same time, Trump threatened in the Post that if Iran does not stop the activities of its proxies in Lebanon, the United States will strike it again, only harder. The agreement establishes the creation of a direct communication line for managing incidents in the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days, as defined in the Memorandum of Understanding. Iran committed to act with all its strength to ensure safe and free passage for commercial ships between the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman. In addition, it was decided to establish a high-level committee that will oversee the diplomatic process and lead focused working groups on the issues of nuclear sanctions removal, monitoring, and dispute resolution in order to ensure effective implementation of the understandings.
On the economic level, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi declared that the American administration approved a sanctions waiver in the field of oil and paved the way for the release of Iranian assets that are frozen abroad. Another central development is the establishment of the de-escalation cell, which is mediated by Qatar and Pakistan, whose purpose is to ensure the end of military activity in Lebanon. This is an especially complex mission, given the repeated violations of the ceasefire by the Hezbollah terrorist organization, when only this past week 5 soldiers of the IDF were killed. At this stage, Israel agreed to hold fire outside the yellow line in order to allow the continuation of the discussions.
Maine housing programs provide eligible Mainers the help they need to keep their homes warmer, safer, and more affordable. Whether you rent or own, we're here to help. To see if you qualify, visit mainehousing.org.
Maine has emerged as a top battleground this year with key matchups for governor, for Congress, and especially for U.S. Senate. So we spent the day talking with Mainers starting about an hour north of Portland in Lewiston. The grill was hot here at the iconic Simonis hot dog stand, founded in 1908. It's become a regular campaign stop for Maine candidates in a county that went for President Donald Trump by about 6 percentage points 2 years ago.
Need to get this state in the right direction.
Voters telling us what's important for them.
I think we need more moderates so they can work together instead of far left and right.
The technical terms remain in Switzerland for the current week in order to continue discussing all the issues on the agenda. The contacts were conducted under the shadow of the Iranian military command, which announced on Saturday its intention to close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes in Lebanon and to Iran's claims regarding the non-fulfillment of the American commitments. Look, it's absurd that the Revolutionary Guard insists on putting the focus on Israel. The demand for an Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon has become one of the central issues around these contacts. In the evening hours, it was reported that an Iranian source familiar with the details told the Iranian news agency Tasnim, if Israel does not withdraw from Lebanon, the negotiations will stop. Let us remember that about an hour ago, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke at the memorial for his brother, Yoni Netanyahu, and said that we will remain in the security zone as long as necessary. Imagine for a moment that the United States, on the side of the border, they threaten you with rocket fire, with kidnapping, and with murder every day. What would the United States do if they were in our shoes? So let's stop and wait. It would kill the terrorists and remove the threat. That's what the US will do. They will attack. That is what it will do. And that is what we are implementing, said the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. He also said that together with the American demands for ceasefire in Lebanon and the discussion about withdrawal from southern Lebanon taking place in the background, that no country will do this better because the terrorists are not only harming civilians, they are hiding behind their own civilians, the population of Lebanon. The working assumption in Jerusalem is that there is no feasibility for a real arrangement. No feasibility of an arrangement between Iran and the United States because the gaps are too large. But here in Israel, we do not intend to interfere. Israel was not surprised by the exchanges of threats between the President of the United States and the Iranians. But in Jerusalem, they do not think that this will lead to the talks blowing up because Tehran has too much to lose. Regarding Lebanon in Israel, there is no willingness for withdrawals because of the American pressure. However, there is preparation for possible changes and movements in the presence of the IDF in southern Lebanon. Not to surrender to the pressure, but in order not to endanger the forces. Prime Minister Netanyahu said in the closed discussions that Israel will preserve operational freedom of action in southern Lebanon in order to protect the residents of the north and in order not to put the soldiers in danger. A security official referred last night to the presence of on the yellow line in southern Lebanon and said the IDF will remain there as long as there is no peace agreement for the security of the communities. There is no withdrawal. And while the Revolutionary Guards in Iran are conducting negotiations, The lives of Iranian citizens have turned into hell. The regime in Tehran is conducting a violent internal repression campaign, including a wave of executions of young people, political activists, and ethnic minorities. Despite the diplomatic and the economic contacts with the West, Iranian authorities are using charges such as espionage and enmity against God as tools to break the spirit of the resistance of the population, while grossly violating legal procedures and using torture meant to extract false confessions. And is the hand of the Mossad, the Israeli spy agency behind the mysterious death of a senior Iranian official in France. In Iran, they accused the Mossad for eliminating Iranian AI pioneer, Dr. Ali Ishnaiya, an Iranian researcher who previously cooperated with the Defense Ministry in Tehran, and he died under mysterious circumstances in the city of Nice in France. So there's a lot ahead of us, so let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, with me is Mati Shoshani, and we are here on Boots on the Ground. We bring you the whole truth about what's happening here in Israel and about this war against the Revolutionary Guards in Iran, against the Hezbollah terrorist organization in Lebanon, against the Houthis in Yemen, and against the Hamas terrorist organization in the Gaza Strip. All of them are part of the axis of evil in the Middle East. And a second before we begin, I want to call on you to continue spreading the truth. Share our content with as many people as possible. Click on the subscribe button, and most importantly, do not forget to look for me, Yair Pinto, and for Mati Shoshani on our social media accounts to get our view through our eyes of what it's like to live in Israel under this war. Because as missiles once again fall across the land of Israel from Iran, Hezbollah, and other enemies, many people are asking how they can stand with Israel in a meaningful way. The answer is simple. Help us rebuild. We invite you to take part in something real, something rooted in the land and in our hearts. The Rebuild Israel campaign continues. It's bringing life back to Israel's north. Along Israel's northern border, an area marked by war, displacement, and loss, we are planting an apple orchard, not as a symbol for a single moment, but as part of a long-term commitment to restore what was damaged and to strengthen Israel's future. At a time when Israel is under attack, planting trees is a powerful declaration. We are still here. We are building. We are growing. We're not leaving. God promised this land to the people of Israel, and together we can help it flourish once again. So this apple orchard is more than just agriculture. It creates jobs for local families. It helps communities return and rebuild. And it sends a clear message to the people of Israel: you are not alone. When you donate, you're not just giving, you're rebuilding. Your support puts trees in the ground. It restores livelihoods and transforms land that is carved by war into a land that grows again. This is how renewal takes root. This is how Israel rebuilds after war. So stand with Israel today, plant hope, restore the north, and strengthen the future. Go now to tvn.org/rebuildisrael, tvn.org/rebuildisrael, or call 800-804-7895. Again, that's 800-804-7895. Rebuild the land, restore hope, and bless the future. And now, we will move to our senior Middle East correspondent, Mati Shoshani, who's with us. Mati, how are you doing?
Dear Acorns, I'm planting seeds with deep intention for my children and grandchildren. As a first-time investor, this journey means...
I'm now unmuted and I can talk. Hey, I can hear you. How's it going, Dave? I'm doing well. I woke up, I think, as everyone, deeply confused about what's happening between Iran and the US, and honestly deeply concerned about what's happening in this negotiation. It was a circus, a freak show of a negotiation yesterday, and I can only hope it gets better today.
What do you think about what happened? I think it was very, very, shameful for the U.S. administration, and I think that the Iranians kind of took J.D. Vance on a spin in terms of the public image that they created in this conference that we're seeing right next to us. What we're seeing basically is that J.D. Vance wanted to shake the hands of the Iranian delegation, and they basically just ignored him completely. So what message does this send to the next level of this negotiation?
Let's say that since most of our viewers are in North America, I want to tell you in North America and Americans what the Iranians are doing to your government. They intentionally humiliated your vice president. These things are not a mistake. These ceremonies of respect and of body language and physical positioning in rooms, hugely important in Muslim and Arab culture. And this was an intentional, not the first one by the way, an intentional disregard and prevention of the U.S. as appearing powerful in the room in these conversations. Not an accident, an intentional humiliation of your current vice president. Not a mistake, but an intention and the showing of their intentions towards you. That's one. By the way, it's both the negotiators, the mediators, and the Iranians behind them. Two, here's what happens. President Trump starts, it's not tweeting, he's on Truth Social, but let's call it tweets. He starts tweeting yesterday, and the Iranians pretend to be offended. Oh no, Trump has sabotaged the negotiation. We must go home. We were so deeply offended. Oh, Yair, I'm heartbroken by this level of offense. What's really happening behind the scenes? Trump says two things in his communication to the world, which thankfully is usually very, very direct and almost immediate. He says two things. He says, one, if the Iranians continue to refuse negotiating with the U.S., maybe we should go back to attacking, and maybe we collect the tax from everyone who goes to the Strait of Hormuz. He says the second thing. He says, you know what? Maybe the IDF has not been strong enough against Hezbollah, the Iranian proxy in Lebanon. Maybe the U.S. should have been attacking Hezbollah. This was yesterday. Why is he doing this? Because at the very same time that he's writing this, he's getting repeated phone calls from the U.S. negotiation team that is telling him the following. Iran refuses to deal with anything relevant in this conversation. They're not talking about nuclear. They're not talking about the Strait of Hormuz. They keep saying release cash and stop fighting against Hezbollah. Now, it's a bizarre conversation. Who is Hezbollah? Let me remind you. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that the Iranians funded, created, and trained to fight against Israel and Lebanon. And they're demanding, this is sort of the outcome of this negotiation, 18 hours of marathon negotiations that result in the most absurd news release that I've heard in a long time that says, you know what, the solution for the problem in the Middle East right now is that we have a supervision committee that's created by Iran, who funds a terrorist organization in Lebanon, the US, who's not active in Lebanon, and the Lebanese government, who's unable and unwilling to fight against Hezbollah, to create a long-term solution. Who's missing from this conversation and this agreement? Hezbollah, the terrorist organization, who is the one instigating against Israel, and Israel, who's fighting to protect itself against Hezbollah. This is the great achievement of this conversation. And I don't say this to sound dramatic. This is a terrible, terrible negotiation so far. Horrific would be a good word to describe it. The U.S. is being publicly humiliated intentionally by Iran and Qatar in this case. The U.S. is intentionally being prevented from talking about the main issues that are required for dealing with the ongoing problem, which is the war in Iran. And the whole conversation is diverted into a niche issue, which is Hezbollah in Lebanon. And let's be honest, something that's not going to be resolved in this negotiation. So all in all, bad day. Bad negotiation, very, very problematic chain of events. And my hope, my expectation would be that the U.S. repeats what they did the last time this was happening. They get up, they get on the plane and they leave the negotiations. And then they fire up the aircraft carriers. The aircraft, they start fueling them and loading bombs on the planes to show the Iranians that they mean business. And if Iran doesn't respond, the U.S. has the military power in the Middle East right now to show the Iranians what's what and who's the boss in this situation. Because this absurdity needs to stop. It's deeply upsetting, it's deeply concerning for the future of this agreement. I mean, think about this. Iran, the entity that lost the war from a military perspective, is dictating to the Americans what happens first in this negotiation.
At Darling's Chrysler Dodge Ram in Augusta, don't miss the Make This the Summer event. Get 2.9% APR for 72.
And they're saying, you know what? Maybe we don't open the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe you give us all our money first. We tell you that we want you to stop your ally Israel from fighting against our terrorist organization, Hezbollah in Lebanon. Then we'll see. And in the meantime, if it wasn't clear, let's publicly humiliate you. We'll refuse to shake your hand. We won't acknowledge you when you walk into the room. We'll make sure to do that in front of the global press, so everyone knows what's actually happening here. That's really the conversation. The right thing for the U.S. team would have been to say, we heard you, we're out, Get back to us when you're willing to behave seriously. And in the meantime, we're going back to full military pressure and to full financial pressure on Iran. But this time, we're going more extreme than we did the last time. That should have been the response. Because the goal here in this conversation was to show the world that Iran has the upper hand and the US is on the weaker side of this negotiation. That is the goal of what happened yesterday in Switzerland. And if anyone doubts that, you don't understand how things work in the Middle East.
Exactly. No, 100%. We've seen it again and again that these sort of like symbols and the respect are super important to countries in this region. And this is something that the West, the US, Israel, Europe are keeping and missing these small, which are not small for us, like huge stuff that actually show the intent. So Mati, what's happening now? Did the US agree to actually unfreeze some of the Iranian assets, like now, without Iran giving anything in return? Is the Strait of Hormuz open now or not? Are the ships moving? Like, it's super confusing. You have nobody to believe to because the United States is not issuing any statements, and all this information that we have are from fake news from the Iranians. So it's kind of hard to know really what's going on. Maybe you can just give a little bit of an explanation about what's going on. Frozen assets released or not, Strait of Hormuz open or not, and what's happening in South Lebanon.
Yeah, I love that you asked that question because the Iranians have been the masters of misinformation. That is their playbook. They spread misinformation. Let's start with the money question. We'll start with that. Iran says through their official news agencies, several of them, they say the following: the U.S. committed to giving us $300 billion worth of money in, call it what you want to call it, reparations, compensation for the damages caused to Iran during the war. And the U.S. says immediately, President Trump immediately tweets in response and says, fake news, that never happened. Then several officials within the Gulf states come out and say, we don't know what you're talking about. No one has talked to us about this. We're absolutely not planning to compensate Iran who attacked us in this war. It should be the other way around. They make a point of doing this clearly and very, very publicly. And then you get to the next question. Iran keeps throwing these numbers. The U.S. will release $24 billion. The U.S. will release $100 billion. The U.S. will release all the frozen assets first before the negotiation starts. And in the U.S., they're looking around and they're saying, where are you getting this information? Because we're not telling you this. And it's all negotiation tactics. Now let's get to the Strait of Hormuz. This is a classical Iranian moment of misinformation. 2 days ago, the IRGC says, you know what? Israel is violating the ceasefire in Lebanon, which is of course a lie. Hezbollah was the one violating the ceasefire, and Israel responded to that. They say Israel is violating it. We're closing the Strait of Hormuz. Well, guess what happened that very same day? The very same day that Iran, the IRGC says, we close the Strait of Hormuz, not one, not two, but 55 ships travel through the Strait of Hormuz under the nose of Iran. And I would say, not being a naval expert in any way, shape, or form.
Doesn't sound like closed.
Yes.
Doesn't sound like something that is shut down.
Yeah, the 55 ships doesn't exactly sound like the straits were shut down. What's the problem? The global audience, and thankfully this does not apply to the viewers of TBN Israel. You guys are the best, and we know you do a much better job than most people of really following what happens in the news. Most people only skim through the headlines. And the headline says, IRGC threats, or Iran threatens to close Strait of Hormuz. And they look at that and say, I guess the Strait of Hormuz is closed. But it isn't. And Iran doesn't have the ability to close the Strait of Hormuz. Even while they were saying previously that the Strait of Hormuz was closed, even then, the U.S., and this is, I love how Trump is so transparent about these kind of things. He just blurts out in a briefing, and he says, by the way, the Iranians are saying it's closed. We sent through the Strait of Hormuz, I think it was 100 billion barrels of oil in the last week or something like that, while they're saying it was closed. Or maybe it was a couple weeks, but point being, the reality is much more complex. And most of the global news doesn't have time to dive into the details. They allow the headline to dictate what really happens. Now I want to say this. There is cause for concern because Iran has shown several things that are hugely alarming. One, the people who are negotiating with the U.S. team don't have the authority to negotiate. We need to say that openly. They've said, look, we resolved this issue. We know who we're talking to. VP Vance has made a point. He was on a media blitz in the last 4 or 5 days, interviewing for essentially every big geopolitical podcast and channel in the world almost in the English language, claiming how good the agreement is and how strong the U.S. is and how the whole process leading up to this moment was very, very clear and thought out, etc., etc. What's happening right now in the negotiation is not that. It shows lack of preparation. It shows that the Iranians are able to spin the conversation that's happening and the negotiation that's happening to the disadvantage of the U.S. negotiation team. Last time around, it was the same people. It was Kushner, Witkoff, Vance in the negotiations that took place in Islamabad, in Pakistan. This is the first round of negotiations several months ago. When Iran played these games of actually, the people you're talking to, they're not really able to negotiate. It's us back at home that are holding the power. The U.S. got up and left, and they should do that again. They should just say, okay, if this is what you're able to bring to the table, you are weak. You are not qualified to negotiate. You don't have the power to address this. We're out, and we're back to military action. We're back to sanctions, full blast. And how about we talk to you in a couple weeks after you've lost 10, 20 more $billion? Maybe we start using your frozen assets to compensate the Gulf states for the damages you caused. And I want to say this openly. People love saying the U.S. has nothing to do in this negotiation. President Trump has his hands tied. There's nothing more the U.S. can do to fight against the Iranians. That is nonsense. That is so far from reality that it's just a joke. On a financial, I'll just give you two examples. On a financial level, if the U.S. wanted to break the spirit of the IRGC and the Ayatollah regime right now, they hold between the U.S. and their allies, the Emiratis and the Qataris, they hold somewhere between, let's say, $100 to $300 billion cash of Iranian assets. I'm not talking just about crypto wallets and those kind of things, but easily over $100 billion, cash. They've already threatened. They said, this is the U.S. Treasury. If we wanted to, that number could not be 100 tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow the number's 80. And we take $20 billion cash, and we give 5 to the Emirates, we give 5 to Qatar, we give 5 to Saudi, and we give 22 to Oman, who you targeted their oil assets, because that's reparations for the damages you caused. You don't like that? What if the next day the number goes from 80 to 65? Do you like it now? And think about it. Who's going to say to the U.S. you can't do this? They can do that. They have the ability to do that. They have the political power to do something like that. And the list goes on. There's many more such financial steps that they can take. The Emirates early in the war said, just so everyone's aware of this, we know of all your hidden assets, all the companies, the shell companies you use to hide your real assets, all the oligarchs that exist within Iran. We know where your accounts are. We know where your assets are. We know where your companies are. How about we start nationalizing those companies and we use them to pay ourselves back for the damages you caused us in the attacks? And what if we also require not only compensation, but also damages for the suffering and the stress that it caused? How does $20 billion sound for a start? So there's a lot that they can do. And then when you go to the military action, that really goes into the realm of what President Trump is willing to do, not what he's able to do. Because he's able to do a lot. It's a question of politically how much he's willing to sacrifice to really make a statement against Iran. So I don't know. I don't like where we are, Yael. I've spent the last 2 days just holding my head and saying, what on earth is happening here? This is a train wreck of a negotiation on every possible level. Someone needs to pull the plug on this on the U.S. side now and leave before this continues, because the Iranians they're publicly and intentionally humiliating the American negotiations team. That's what happens. The only one who responded publicly to that was President Trump, who immediately said, I know what's happening here, and made a point of showing Iran that he understands what they're doing and is responding with the same language. You think you're going to humiliate me? How about I humiliate you? You think you're going to say that you're going to do this to me? How about I do the same to you? And I love that about him, because he understands the language of the Middle East much better than many others who claim to understand diplomacy. President Trump understands it. He understands it completely. And you need to really give him the credit for that.
Yeah, Mati. And before this war officially started, Iran was filled with protesters, demonstrations, to the point of a civil war almost. And then what's it called? IRGC affiliates, which are the besieged forces, opened live fire towards the protesters. We have numbers of tens of thousands that were killed by the regime. And we are now receiving reports, of course not confirmed yet, that the Iranians are now using this time that the world is focused on diplomacy, that the world is talking about the Straits of Hormuz, about Lebanon, to actually crack down against any kind of opposition internally, inside Iran. So what they're doing is they're accusing the opposition leaders of being spies for the United States and for Israel, then either arresting them or executing them. That's how they're cracking down against any kind of future resistance to the Iranian regime. What do you think will happen, or what do you think is happening now inside Iran, in the streets, and to the protesters?
Harris Farmers Union helps you get growing. Enjoy nut trees, shade trees, fruit trees, including apple, cherry, peach, pear, and plum, plus flowering shrubs and berry bushes. Get your garden started.
It's a painful story. We've spent, both you and I, quite a lot of time talking to Iranian experts and Iranian expats, those who fled Iran in past years, in recent weeks and months. The story there is very, very sad. President Trump called on the Iranian people, this is before the war started, the end of January of this year, and he said to them, people of Iran, go and fight against your regime. Help is on the way. Well, the help took them about a month and a half to show up to give them help, and in that process, the Iranian regime, in a single day, we're talking somewhere between 24 to 36 hours, they killed, we don't know the number, let's say the number is 10 to 30,000 in a day or two. That's what was killed. A very substantial number of people. It depends who you're asking. The main issue here is that they went from using bird shots and shotguns to using direct fire into crowds, taking headshots. And excuse the graphic description here, but you need to understand what this government does to its people. They went to shooting their people in the head as they demonstrated in the streets. And when you're a demonstrator and you know that the government is barricaded and opening fire in an arbitrary fashion, aiming to kill, not to maim, not to wound, but they're out to kill, and then they'll punish your family for trying to collect your body from the hospital. I don't know how graphic I can get here without this video getting banned from YouTube. That's the government. And I want to say this differently. The U.S. is negotiating with a government who is willing to do the following to promote their agenda. They're willing to kill hundreds of thousands of their people. They said this. They are willing to destroy the economy of their own nation. They are willing to fully destroy the future economy of the region. So destroy oil and gas infrastructure, to destroy the ports, to destroy the airfields, to destroy the trade centers, to destroy the perception of stability in the region, to the point where the entire Gulf area, including Iran, would see a recession for years after this. Iran is willing to do that, and by Iran I mean the IRGC and whatever is left of the clerical government, the Ayatollah regime that are working hand in hand. They're willing to do that. And when you're facing that kind of adversary that's willing to sink ships, to massacre its own population, to destroy its own economy, both short-term and long-term, and to do the same thing to everyone else that's in the region, that's a huge problem. And by huge, I mean enormous problem, because you're dealing with an unrational player in international relations, someone who's willing to watch the world burn rather than negotiate. And the story right now within Iran is one of danger. One where the public knows that if they stand up against the regime, they stand to lose their lives. And not only that, their family stands to be tortured and imprisoned. And I say this, Yael, I'm all for democracy, I'm all for negotiating, for demonstrating for what's important to you. I don't know that I would go out and demonstrate if I knew that not only I would lose my life, but my family stands to spend the rest of their life, my extended family, without a job, in prison, being tortured. I don't know how many people in the West who, talk about fighting against the evil regime are willing to take that kind of price. It's terrifying. That's the regime that controls Iran. And people say, we imagine in Western thought this tipping point when, when people are chanting in the streets, the regime sort of, says, you know what, I get it, we were wrong, let's, pack up our bags and go home and we leave the place to the next government that comes. That's not what's going to happen in Iran. They're a substantial government. They have power beyond what people believe. They're willing to use, and I need to explain this, they use the members of the Basij, the enforcers, that are not from the big cities. They bring them in from the countryside. They bring them in from the Sunni militias and the Shia militias within Iraq to fight inside Iran against the population of Iran. That's what they bring in. People that don't even speak the same language to enforce, to shoot, to sow fear into their population. And there's another factor here. The U.S. had called on the Kurdish rebels to fight against the Iranian regime. And the Kurds didn't. They did it because they've been disappointed by the U.S. and others repeatedly in the last 20 plus years. Not once, not twice. I've spent time with them in northern Iraq several years back. And these people are fierce warriors. They've stood up for themselves and for others, repeatedly taking dramatic casualties in the past. And they looked at this and they said, you know what? We need to wait for more clarity before we take military action against the Iranian regime. These people, they're willing to go to extreme lengths to stop any kind of rebellion against them. Why do we need this? We don't know where this is going. And the same goes to anyone else in the Iranian regime that says, you know what, things are too unstable right now, too unclear for us to stand up publicly against the current IRGC leadership or against the clerical leadership. That's where things are. And for that to happen, there needs to be more clarity. And I'm very sad to say that the negotiation that we're witnessing right now isn't that. It doesn't show that things are going against the Iranian regime. It shows that things are going in favor of the Iranian regime. And that's a sad reality, a painful reality, but that is the reality we're facing right now.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Mati, and we'll see you again this evening with our second report of the day here on TV in Israel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your time to hit the subscribe button on TV in Israel. Also, you can look for Mati Shoshani on all the social media accounts and see life in Israel through our eyes. Thank you very much, Mati. We'll see you again later on tonight.
Are you having a hard time deciding whether you should print your
Life moves fast, and your bank should keep up. That's why at Skowhegan Savings, we make managing your money easy, with all of your personal and business banking needs local, under one roof. From your everyday banking to home and personal loans, business financing, and cash management solutions. We're here with the tools, support, and expertise to help you move forward with confidence in your financial goals. Whatever those goals are, at Skowhegan Savings, we're ready to help you reach them, right here, all under one roof, with banking that's built around you.
Want to have the best summer ever? Start with feeling your best. Right now at Mainly Tubs, save $500 on cold plunges. Enjoy 10% off in-stock Tilo saunas and get 20% off in-stock barrel saunas during our best summer ever sale. Plus, with special financing available, they'll make it easy to recover faster, relax deeper, and create a wellness retreat right in your own home. These limited time savings won't last forever. Sale ends on June 30th. Visit mainlytubs.com today and make this the best summer ever.
Okay, thanks for joining us again. We are TV in Israel. We report multiple times a day from Israel about what's happening in this land so that you will know how to pray for the situation. And while the delegations were leaving the negotiation rooms in Switzerland, in southern Lebanon, the IDF was still holding key positions against the Hezbollah terrorist organization. This is not real quiet. This is a ceasefire that is being tested every single hour. Tested with rockets, with drones, with tunnels, and with terrorists trying to survive the underground attacks. And the question now is not only whether the United States and Iran will reach an agreement. The question is who will pay the price underground so that this agreement does not explode. Because after 18 hours of talks at the resort in Switzerland, the picture is becoming clearer. Qatar and Pakistan, two mediators, announced a positive atmosphere, encouraging progress and a roadmap towards a final agreement within 60 days. But inside those diplomatic words, there's one clause that worries Israel very, very much. The creation of a deconflictation cell in Lebanon. This cell is supposed to include the United States, Iran, and Lebanon, under the guidance of Qatar and Pakistan. His declared goal is to make sure that the military operation in Lebanon stops. Notice who's not mentioned there? Yeah, Israel is not mentioned there. Hezbollah is not mentioned there. And that's exactly the problem. The war on the ground is being fought between the IDF and the Hezbollah terrorist organization. Israeli forces are the ones that are holding the security zone. Hezbollah is the one firing, digging in, sending drones, and trying to rebuild its power. But the mechanism being created to prevent friction is being built over Israel's head, with Iran inside the room. From Tehran's point of view, this is an achievement. Not because the Iranians won a military battle, but because they managed to take Lebanon, insert it into the negotiations with the United States, and turn Hezbollah from a military security problem into an Iranian diplomatic card. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has already presented this as a victory. He spoke about significant progress towards ending the Lebanese war, exemptions for oil and petrochemical exports, and the lifting of the blockade, including the release of the frozen assets and a major reconstruction plan for Iran. And then he marked the first test, the Lebanese cell. In other words, from Iran's point of view, the first experiment of the understandings is not a nuclear issue, not inspections, not the dismantling of uranium, not the missile program. Lebanon. And that tells the whole story. At the same time, the Strait of Hormuz also received its own mechanism. The sides agreed on a communication channel to prevent incidents and misunderstandings in order to keep safe passage for commercial ships. It sounds technical, it sounds calm, but it comes after Iranian threats to close the strait and after a sharp American threat to take control of it if necessary. Trump, as usual, spoke in a language that leaves very little room for interpretation. He threatened that if Iran closes Hormuz, the United States could take control of the strait. He also warned Tehran that if it does not stop Hezbollah in Lebanon, the United States will strike Iran again and harder. The Iranians immediately did what they know how to do well. They got up, they threatened, they said that the talks were in danger, they sent a message to the mediators, and then they returned to the process all over again. This is not a random chaos. This is their method. Iran is testing Washington's limits. It wants to see how much Trump is willing to threaten, how much Vance is willing to observe, and how much Qatar and Pakistan are willing to run between the rooms to save this agreement. In the United States, they're careful not to say that the talks collapsed. In Israel, the assessment is also that the Iranians do not really want to blow up the process right now. The reason is simple. They have too much to lose. Once the path opens to sanctions relief, oil exports, the release of frozen funds, and the discussion on the reconstruction fund that Iran is not rushing to file, flip the table over. It wants the money, it wants the time, it wants the recognition, and it wants to dictate the terms in Lebanon. That's where the Israeli dilemma now stands. Israel does not intend to withdraw from southern Lebanon just because of the American or the Iranian pressure.
Buying TI products just got easier. Now, you can simply email or upload your purchase order to get the parts you need when you need them. Zero IT integration needed. Get started today.
ready for the leap. Started out with a little, barely had a heat, but what we had kept a belly full of eats. Just a short slip away from being belly on the streets. Hard scrabble over grits, jelly on the wheat. Unabashed with a drive to keep our family on our feet. Hard work raising youngins in the belly of the beast. To be sitting around the table getting ready for the feast. It wasn't easy and it wasn't alone, but we still got a long road to hoe on the road. So what gets sold gets the water to grow, and the sunlight to get the harvest ready to show. So it goes, that though whatever served on the menu could react to situations that you've been through. We can still get through like we got through. We are not through, just know we got you.
That's right. The creatures might be coming to get you, but I'm here to slay monsters like Geralt the Witcher. And I'm here with you, that's all she wrote. Tight like a fat couple caught up in coach for my bros and my blokes. Mamacitas y amigas, yes, all of my folks. If the whole world starts to go up in smoke, we're riding together and we're going for broke. But I'm trying to make sure that don't happen. Climb on this boat with me, ride with your captain. Maintain yourself in an orderly fashion. Calm and collected, but I still need your passion. This is a call to action. Act with exact facts. Building more bridges than you will with a hashtag. Big dog barking, say the fat cats running. Revolution coming, and I hope that's something. Come on, I wanna ride with you. Monsters to eat. Come on, I wanna ride with you.
Third-hand smoke builds up in cars. Chemicals from smoking and vaping stick to the inside of cars like seats, dashboards, and surfaces. Everyone who rides in the car is exposed. Learn the risks.
Come on.
Behind the scenes, Israel is also preparing for a more complicated scenario. Not a full withdrawal, but perhaps specific movements in South Lebanon. Not giving up the security zone, but perhaps pilot areas where the Lebanese army will be required to prove that it can clear areas of Hezbollah terrorists. This is an important point. So Israel does not trust that the Lebanese army will dismantle Hezbollah on its own.
Absolutely
but
ridiculous.
if the Americans want a mechanism, Jerusalem wants a practical test, including maps, pilot zones, American supervision, and a result on the ground. No more statements, no more commitments to the Lebanese sovereignty.
Yeah, you know, you can only make excuses for that kind of sickness. For
at the same time, there's also an American attempt to bring Syria into the picture. Trump criticized the fact that Israel has been fighting Hezbollah for a long time and said Syria might be able to play a bigger role. But Syria's president, Ahmed al-Sharaa, formerly known as
in their own space, and they want to drink themselves into a stupor or drink themselves to death.
We will not see Syria fighting Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Go right ahead and do that.
According to him, Syria may be able to help disarm Hezbollah, but not through war and not through Syrian guardianship over Lebanon.
That also teaches us something. If someone wants to do
Everyone wants Hezbollah to be weakened. When the moment of payment arrives, everyone looks for someone else to go into this mud. The Americans want the mechanism. The Syrians want conditions. The Lebanese want sovereignty without the civil war. The Iranians, they want to save their proxies. In Israel, us, we are left facing the threat on the border. And at this time, inside Iran, the regime is showing the world its real face. Abroad, it speaks about diplomacy, economic reconstruction, sanctions relief, and a new future.
Exactly.
At home, it is carrying out a violent wave of repression against citizens, young people, political activists, and ethnic minorities. The regime uses charges
like
such as espionage, cooperation with Israel, and hostility towards God in order to break the resistance. People are arrested, interrogated,
you're heading in the right direction.
and according to the human rights organizations,
you know what, it's beyond sickening to us, and that has been for a long time, and how a lot of the druggies and sickos and nasty people, many of them have moved away.
One of the difficult stories.
Take advantage of not only people's stupidity and childish beliefs, but also those kind of illnesses and sicknesses and vices, hostage situations and shields that these sickos use to peddle and promote and protect their crimes.
There was no real evidentiary
and the present. If you don't care how that affects you or your children's future,
was also
or the present,
a barber from
it kind of unveils a lot of confusing things in the past too, like, oh, that makes sense now. Why they were fucking psychos out in the street. Drive, baby, drive! Having no fucking moral compass at all. Right, I mean, just being peddled by who? Promoted, paid by who? Not always, yeah, there's payment is not always involved, actually, 9 times out of 10. No, people get motivated by different things, yeah, that's why they grab a hold of those heartstrings and 7 deadly sins and find people with colorful pasts, those that get frowned upon. Who do you gonna get rid of? I know, and then when you understand what we've been talking about and how the people around us don't,
and the researcher in the field that can be severe.
And no one's going to inform them because they're all part of hazing or grazing or tating or an investigation.
There's no official French announcement about the murder investigation.
Watching them cut each other's throats. Yeah, we already did that. Yeah, our siblings did that years back, and we were trying to tell them, and it's amazing how they lick each other's assholes. They continue to lick each other's assholes and cut each other's throats while our children continue to suffer and be abused. They've already been fucked and tortured for years by these punks, and as you can see, it's like third and fourth parties not even connected to the investigations and other things that people get all involved with and make money from and profit from and get witness protection for and write a book about and get attacked and targeted themselves for, depending on their level of awareness, because some people are just like, hey, you know, we've worked with a lot of doctors and good people over the years, so yeah, it's not a joke what's going on here, folks. Hopefully the proper authorities do what they're supposed to do to help our children. My name's Mary. We're at the Governor Hill Mansion in Augusta, Maine. Sick fuck abuser's name who tried to kill me and abuse my children for years, and abused his own child. Yet luckily that child didn't have to get abused for years because the mother didn't have sick fucking stupid drug addicts around her and pieces of shit. I'm sorry, those are the facts. If you don't fucking like it, well, I don't know what to say to you. Sorry? Does that make it better? Does it make you feel less threatened if we say sorry? Because we're not fucking sorry at all, and we hope you motherfuckers burn in hell and feel the pain and torture our children have felt tenfold. You know what those fucking kids go through in the hands of these fucking punks you fucking nasty pieces of shit want to protect while you profit? From what? and play fucking victimhood, you sick, nasty, fucking astute pieces of shit. I'd pack your shit and get the fuck out of here if I were you. Friendly suggestion. As for us, it's lovely. It's 1:14 here on this lovely 22nd day of June. It'll be a Monday, June 22nd, 2026. We're gonna make some purple noodles. Yeah, we had some last night. We're gonna make more of those today. Those are really yummy. So good. They have purple rice too. Very good for you. It's nice to have once in a while, huh? Mix it up. You know, I like other rice. It doesn't mean get rid of your basmati or Uncle Ben's. Don't you worry. I mean, I'm sure they'll frickin' throw a fit and try to stop us from telling you about the cool purple stuff. Like we're fucking talking to terrorists or something. You know, we've been through this before throughout history. If you've read a book or two or been paying attention. I guess it depends on what kind of books you're reading. Yeah, I mean, if you're reading a book about brain surgery, you're probably... I mean, unless it involves the history and the evolutionary process of brain surgery, which it can be fit into a few pages. It should be in every single... But they don't put it in there for some reason. Not in a lot of them. Have you seen the Western medicine teachings? It's disturbing, man. They don't get to go to school for that long. And then a naturopath or a holistic doctor, that all those kind of people who want to make decisions, they see those kind of doctors. And those kind of doctors have to go to school for like 12 years. Did you know that if you want to be a naturopath or something? But yeah, to be a Western medicine doctor and peddle out all these fucking dangerous drugs and vaccines to all these people who have really no other choice, do they? Do they have an option? Yeah, and if they try to start speaking out and going, hey, because nobody really said anything, right? Nobody really says anything until you inform them. And even then, look at what happened. Look what the fuck happened. And they're just promoting it. And they all profit from it. It's really sick, disgusting, disturbing, and scary to a lot of us. I was hiccuping, sorry. Do you ever get the hiccups? Or like have a hiccup? Yeah, happens. Right, because sometimes you don't have, like, you say, I got the hiccups, that means it's being repetitive, but if I had a hiccup, right, that's just one, right? One hic. Man, it's a gorgeous day. Yeah, very disturbing, scary to a lot of us. I know, we've explained it so many times, and other people see it. And how horrific. It's maddening, like it's almost like it's mad laughter. No, because really, no, just pretend. We do this all the time. Pretend in your little fucking delusional world that the truth is actually the truth. I know it's hard for you to look at reality and actually believe the truth is the truth because you're so lost in your fucking lies and fairy tales. Medicated, fucking drunk, dude. These people are fucking drunk on something, and it's pretty scary. Boom! Kesimpta! Here, to get your Botox, you don't want to get frown lines. It helps with your migraines, too. It helps with your migraines, too. Well, the migraines are probably caused from all those fucking SSRIs and psychosomatic fucking drugs you take, chemical altering drugs, you know, can cause migraines. You overload yourself with that shit. Not to mention hair dyes and eyelash glue. I mean, a lot of times that makeup you're breathing in, and do you remember self-tans? People used to get sprayed, and then they freaking finally realize it's not good. You're breathing that in. Some people still do it. It's done very professionally and safely. I mean, I don't know. Do people, is that still a thing? Spray tans? I haven't heard of it in a while. Airbrushed? Have you been airbrushed lately? How about those nerve agents? What was that? It was in Wuhan, right? Was it Wuhan? Some people were talking about, right, with that dude that died in the lab. What happened? Wasn't there though some concerns about nerve agents and different things being given to people that, yeah, I mean, it could kill them, right? Yeah, we've talked about that kind of stuff and how that's connected to the very people who have been fucking and torturing our children. Just the same kind of tactics, using kind of undetectable chemicals, which are detectable, but I guess it's something you got to be looking for, right? Yeah, that's why for years, you know, they use different things. The catalytic converter chop shop gets brought up quite a bit, and they've been doing a lot of busts with that stuff over the years, connected to these same grooming gangs and sickos. So it's just tactics used by these different criminals. Not all of them are fucking kids, right? Some of them just get involved with passing out pamphlets, or I mean, some of them are good people. You're raising money for the police, good job. Is that what they told you? You fucking stupid. Do they have a badge? No way. I mean, yeah, you're in retardville, and a lot of them know better. They fucking know not to fall for that shit. And they should be held on their own recognizance, but they just play stupid, and that's what they really believed, and as long as that's what they believed, it's okay. Yeah, we gotta stop with that fucking baby and coddling shit, don't you think, with these fucking druggies and nasty fucking church-going pieces of shit that have fucking fucked the funding going into the Catholic churches in many different communities. People fucking know it. It's not a fucking secret, and it's sick and disgusting how they pretend to fucking beat someone, and then they show up at a fucking church with bruises after a rough night of sex and drinking. No, someone beat me up. They don't even know who the fuck it was. Some Timbuktu from Indiana. They don't fucking know. What are you supposed to do? Right, can you turn them away? No, you get all this funding for it, right? It's fucking sick, and it's disgusting how many years these nasty pieces of shit have taken advantage of that stuff, while our children get fucked and tortured by the nasty fucking punks that aid and abet them. And then you got people in our state departments and main parent federation going along and turning their heads because they're fearing of the non-vaxxers. Why do you think the fucking pieces of shit, druggies and sluts, fucking peddle that and the fear propaganda to them? Why the fuck? They peddle the fucking vaccine, non-vax bullshit, the transgender bullshit, the racial hate. They spike the religious shit. They get their fucking buddies going around with Qurans just to, well, you were really making a point, right? It's a revolution, man. Look at how people are reacting just to reading a book. Grow the fuck up. Okay, anyways, my name's Mary. We're in Augusta, Maine. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Brings it all about, doesn't it? I really hope the proper authorities here in Augusta, Maine do what they're supposed to do to help these children. Oh my gosh, we're verklempt. We are verklempt about it. You know, has their dead mothers watching from the great beyond. Oh, the shock and horror and the wonder of it all, too. Look at the advancements in humanity. Isn't it incredible? Oh my gosh. Imagine when... Right, there wasn't lights that long ago. You couldn't flick a switch and turn on a light. Some people don't even flick a switch anymore. They use their phones. And then they don't even push the button on their phone. It's voice activated. And some, they don't even have to pull the phone out. They just talk into their watch. And some, they don't even have to do that. You know why? You know why? Because it's in their fucking eyeball. It's in their goddamn hand. Open sesame. It only understands your voice. And you know, each and every single one of our voices is unique, no matter how you try to distort it and can fool people. You can fool a lot of people. You can't fool the machine. No, you can't. It's like a fingerprint, I'm telling you right now. It has sequences it locks into. You have to say, if it's not satisfied, if you're just like, open sesame, it might ask you to speak more. Because it needs to clarify, because you know sometimes people can be talking different energies and tones. You know, if I want to be I can talk like that. What does it need to pick up the voice frequency to match what's coded into the system? I mean, does it just start to recognize it on its own? Oh, it shuts up. It does shut up sometimes. Just rambling on about useless subjects and hopping from one thing to the next with no good segue at all. No, we're not about good segues. We're about no fucking segue at all. Just like from pea soup to how the hell do they build those drones? It's incredible. And why are people so fucking stupid and evil? Fuck. Anyways, yeah, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions as to how we can get people around here to acknowledge reality, because that's pretty scary to us, that in and of itself, how people are so fucking lost in their sick fucking bullshit and are unable to acknowledge reality. That's fucking scary, dude. There's names for this, huh? Give me some good ones. I know we use the common ones, the playful, safe ones. Give me some scary ones. Schindler's List. No. You know, like Alice through the Looking Glass. Screaming from a soundproof box. Perplexing. It's very perplexing. No, there's a certain one we're looking for. The Omen is closer. It's more in the right direction than what you said before. Closer. Oh, The Omen. Remember those movies? Those were freaky. Yeah. The first one was freaky. The other ones didn't really get me. The first one was a good, well done, but the others were just kind of thrown together, riding on the coattails of the popularity of the first one. You know, like Rosemary's Baby. Anyways, happy day to you. It is 1:28 here in the afternoon. We're gonna make our yummy noodle soup.